I know that. I
You
know.
need both. Damn.
I know.
Okay. Yeah. Most people are like, what the fuck's a prebiotic?
No, I know. I didn't. I recently learned about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like information overload. I feel like the more I learn, I'm like, I feel the more I'm doing wrong. And then you find like contradicting information as well, and you're like, what fucking approach do I take? And then it makes you want to do nothing at all. I'll just have a normal American diet, which is eating like a piece of shit. You know, it's fucking horrible.
Oh my god. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, this is like a rabbit hole we could go down, but the normal the normal American diet, like.
Yeah, whereas like if I'm eating healthy, I'm on a diet. And it's like, no, I'm eating right and you're eating like a fat piece of shit.
Right.
You know?
You know?
Not to be a little
But like the normal
rude.
American diet, everything is like packaged with barcode, and they're like, oh yeah, it says like our parents' generation.
What were they eating? Wonder Bread for fucking breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
My mom would look at like she gets really caught up with skinny marketing. Skinny. Like fat free, 0, 000, like sugar free, fat free, and I'm just like,
yeah, 000, triple protein.
What is it? It's a science experiment.
Yeah.
I'm like, she doesn't even know what a seed oil is.
Interesting.
Do you know what a seed oil is, Mom? If you're born in the 60s or between 50 and 80, they don't know what seed oils are.
Well, what I realized too is that so many people are so shut off from it, and it takes like a clicking moment. Like, for instance, I talked to my mom about intermittent fasting for 3 years when I was doing it. 3 fucking years. I was like telling her like the benefits, my schedule. And then 3 years later, randomly one day, she was like, have you ever heard of intermittent fasting? She was like, one of my friends was talking to me about it. And I'm like, how in the fuck did you even I don't get it.
Oh, so we're allowed to swear?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Why, do you have a potty mouth? You're gonna sit like you just start railing it? Oh, fuck. Jeez.
Yeah, same with my mom. I could like preach to her about her like low fat, low sugar, 0 this, 0 that diets, and then she will not listen to me. And I'm just like, Mom, look at the back of the packaging. Look at the ingredients. Where are in any of those ingredients does that say food? It's literally like a number and a letter combination.
Yeah. And then if you were to look it up, I think the issue is that ignorance is bliss, because if people were to do their own research, it would make them have to stop eating what they're eating.
And that's too hard.
And they don't want to. And I've been on like a health kick for a very long time, and I've taken it in stages. And just recently, I got off of anything that's white. Is that?
Starches?
Is that how I wanted to say it?
Like even dairy?
No, I'm still, fuck no, I'm definitely still doing dairy. But like any kind of pasta, white potatoes, any kind of bread.
Yep.
It's mainly like a paleo diet. It's like, and the first month and a half, I felt like dog shit.
Just detoxing.
And that feeling made me want to be like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to eating like shit. But it got to a point where I was like, I need to keep going. And now my energy levels are always stable. My anxiety is way down. My productivity is through the fucking roof. So, but it's and I'm strong-willed. And there was so many times where I was like, I'm gonna eat a fucking cookie just so I can feel better. It's such a sickness.
I know.
It's such a sickness.
And I recently did the same thing, except I went like animal-based. Like I don't want to say carnivore, because I was still eating fruit and actually just fruits. I cut out vegetables.
Yeah.
And I was eating red.
Was there a reason for?
I mean, I was just
because all the research now is like vegetables have lectins and stuff like this.
Yeah, it was
so
just like basically like the argument was like fiber in vegetables is almost unnecessary for us. Like for some reason, like this is like the research that I was just finding I was feeling like it resonated with me.
Yeah.
Like vegetables are useless essentially.
Yeah.
And then like the way that they're grown, and like organic is a very broadly used term.
Oh my god, so broad.
And
like if 1% is organic, it's fucking organic.
Literally,
now.
like the paper it's wrapped in could be organic paper, and then that can be sold as organic. That's the same thing with like skincare products.
Yeah.
So I was just like, let me try this. So I literally went on like red meat, eggs. I didn't even really eat chicken, and fruit, avocados. And then I actually like lost a few pounds in the beginning, and it wasn't for weight loss. I just was just like my diet is so like has so much variety, and I'm like, why am I eating so many different things? And where in our history
have we ever done this? Yeah.
Like oatmeal and cereal and bread and like I'm just
It's all a money. I find it like interesting too. So when I was looking at schools on the West Coast, I was traveling through like the back roads of California. Fucking ice machine. I was traveling through the back roads of California, and you see where all of our crops come from. And there was so much fucking corn.
factories.
And I'm like corn is one of the easiest things to grow. There was like, I want to say like millions of miles of it, but that's an exaggeration.
A couple hundred acres probably.
And I'm
though.
like, yeah, it's insane. Just miles and miles and miles. And I'm like, oh, like that's why they purport all the cereals. Because like corn grows
is the
fast.
most abundant
Oh my
crop
God.
that we have in the United States.
Everything's a fucking shit. But I mean, it's so far out there in the media. Like you have like some of the most famous people in the world talking about what a sham it is, and still people are like, yeah I don't care.
It's cheap and I'm gonna eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so yeah, I cut out all that stuff and I was just like, all right, I feel good, and I'm like losing a little bit of weight, and then I was doing more research, and then people are like, you should cut out fruit too, and I was like, I'm just gonna eat meat. That feels so bad.
Yeah.
That feels like, oh my God, that would be the worst thing for you. Like, what about? Well, you can't get vitamin C in meat. You know, there's like obviously eggs and meat have a ton of
Yeah.
nutrients, but
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah, there's a little bit of vitamin C,
but like not
yeah.
enough. So you have to like
No, not
either
enough.
supplement or
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that I've been looking in the wrong direction prior to eating mostly animal products for like everything's labeled healthy and like, you know,
Yeah.
like just being on social media, it's like this woman could be the most fit, healthy looking person, but she lives on like protein shakes and protein bars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
And then dies randomly of some crazy disease too, or something
Right.
like that. Yeah.
and then you look at the ingredients and going back to our parents, like
Yeah.
they didn't do that. And then they have these weird cancers now in 2024.
The world is so fucked, and like these kind of conversations can go in so many different directions. It's crazy, but something I wanted to bring up because I'm not sure. I've always thought this, and I want to say it out loud, and I say it to people like in my close circle, but I think that if you spend your entire life eating healthy because like let's say like your grandmother had a certain type of cancer and you're like, fuck, I don't want to get that. So you spend your whole life eating a certain way in fear of not getting that cancer. I think that you're actually manifesting that cancer no matter what.
100%.
Because it's like that's what you're focusing on. Like the focus isn't health, it's I need to avoid this. It's like driving, right? As opposed to like telling like God of the universe, please no red light, please no red light, and you get a red light and you're like, what the fuck? It's because you should have been focusing on the green light to begin with, you know?
Right.
So do you think there's any like merit in that? Because I see it like all the time. People like, I'm eating a certain way because I want to avoid this, and then they fucking get it anyways. And I'm like, how is that even possible? And it's like
it's just such a narrow-minded way of thinking, and like you said, it manifests the thing you're trying to avoid.
It brings it closer.
What about everything else? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you're going to focus on that one thing, and you also have to think about, again, going back to what your grandmother was raised thinking was normal to eat.
Oh my
Like
God.
we have so much more information available to us than our grandparents and our parents had.
Yeah.
So like, sure, she did that. She ate that one thing, or that was part of her life. But like, you have so much information available to you. You don't.
Yeah.
You can. Also, I'm a big believer in like moderation. But to your point about like manifesting something, I think stress-related cancers are way more prevalent than we believe.
God.
It's not just food. It's not smoking. Like, I think if you live a genuinely stressful life, you're angry. You have
people
hold on
smoke
to
cigarettes until they're
resentment.
like 102
They're like,
and just die
I'm
of old
fucking
age.
happy. Like,
Yeah.
They have the best
It's so
lives.
true.
They just smoke. But then
Yeah.
there's people who are angry and have resentment and can't let go of shit, which, like, when I say this, I'm literally thinking about my dad. He smoked blunts, so tobacco.
Yeah.
But he was such an angry person, and he was so bitter and resentful, and he just spent his whole life thinking about, you know, even till the point where he was like on his deathbed, he's like, if I was strong enough, like I would get these last couple people, you know, like
Jeez.
he was dying.
That shit's corrosive to the soul
He had,
and the heart and everything else. That's tough.
I will say the love in him came back knowing that he was leaving, you know,
Yeah.
we knew his cancer was terminal. So like part of his softness came back to us, but then his anger remained with a lot of other things.
It was like a duality where like he was feeling more love about certain things, but then also at the same time getting
and
oh no, I want to get that motherfucker before
And I believe that his tumor manifested not only from the tobacco, not only from seed oils, because he didn't know a thing about. I asked him while he had cancer. I was like, "Do you know what seed oils are?" And he's like, "No."
Yeah.
But from stress.
Yeah.
Stress, like you can see it in a person's face. Someone who's lived a hard life, and it's not always.
It's so apparent.
It's not always smoking. It's not always food. It's literally stress, lack of sleep. I think lack of sleep is one of the biggest things that make people look old.
Yeah.
It ages you. And fucking stress. Working jobs you hate. Spending time with people you hate. Toxic relationships. These things make you look bad. Literally, on the outside, you can see a person and you're like, they're not doing well. And it's 90% who they're around.
And people, and I can only speak from experience because I've endured that in my lifetime.
Yep.
So
you look at pictures of yourself from like when you were dating a certain person.
I was stuck in that shit, and I felt like there was no way out of it, and there was an odd comfort to it as well. Thank you so much. You're the GOAT. Thank you. Thank you, Mac. Thank you. I like playing with my beard.
I get a couple whiskers.
I'm always getting shunned on camera. I love it.
Someone's got to check you.
I know, right?
I know. You have perfect posture.
Well, because he said it's my side view, so I don't want to that fupa on the camera.
It's almost 30 minutes past, like 28.
Thank you. You're the GOAT. I appreciate it. What was I saying? I'm so sorry.
You were saying the things you were stuck in, the way they were making you look and manifesting in like your physical being.
Oh, yeah. And there was an odd comfort about it, too. Like, you get so comfortable with like the fights you're going through, the like toxic nature of your family, it becomes your day to day,
your reality, and you don't even. It's all you know. It's so ingrained in you that you're just like, this is normal.
And then I've even had it where I've experienced something better, and then I've almost felt guilty about like having
being
a better.
Or like leaving that shit behind, or those people.
Yes, because it's like there's still love there for them, and everything I've ever done, I've always tried to be like, come and do this with me, come and do that with me, and
some people are resistant to positivity, to change.
Yeah,
you gotta leave that shit in the past. Wait, cheers.
Yeah,
leave that shit in the past.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, you do that.
Chug. No. It's so. I mean, not to transition or to be too morbid. How recent did your dad pass?
He passed away a couple days before Christmas.
Damn.
2023. So it's been like 7-8 months. So it's pretty fresh wound.
Do you feel that certain people in your family dealt with it differently? And I say that because I look at the way that like my family deals with like trauma and stress, and some people that are like stuck in those certain situations, they deal with it a certain way and they take one route. Whereas like for me, stuff like that motivates me to live
your life.
Yeah. So, I was curious if you can see that, and it's difficult because I'm sure being in like a wellness mind frame puts you in a better space to deal with loss. And then if you see someone who's like inconsolable or they can't even comprehend it, it must be really difficult.
So I mean, I'm one of 5 kids, and we all came from one dad, so that was all our dad, and we all live very different lives. But I will say, being in the industry that I'm in the line of profession, being in wellness, it's made me really like take a step back, and just as much as our parents didn't have the information or knowledge on how to live well.
Yeah.
That means they didn't impart it on me. So where did I get it? And so like it made me really step back and be like, how did I get here without any help? No one showed me how to get here.
That's deep insight.
Right. I was just like, my dad just lost his life due to lack of knowledge, basically. And I am running a business for the last 5 years strictly based around wellness. Yeah. And it's like, who taught me that? So
that's true.
Where did I learn that? And
where did it come from? Is it like epigenetics? Is it something inside of you? Was it like a great grandfather that was also into it?
Right. I don't know. Yeah. And because again, like generational like misinformation, lack of knowledge, I'm like, how did I get here? So when my dad passed away, I was just kind of like, obviously, naturally devastated,
Of
sadness,
course,
but
yeah.
it made me be like, okay, like I'm never going to live this way. I'm never going
Yeah.
to put my health aside for temporary satisfaction. And, it wasn't like we were talking about before, going back to your surroundings, your people, your emotions, your anger. It wasn't just his diet and the smoking. It was how he spent his days, how he spent his time.
Yeah.
So,
I think if you're not mentally strong, then biological processes will just live their shelf life.
survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think that I think you can program your body in a certain way. Like there was this is a crazy study where they took two groups of people and they gave them the same protein shake. They told one group that it was a healthy shake, and they told the other group that it was a high calorie, unhealthy shake. And the way the body digested both was completely different.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's
so
literally mental attitude.
what you think
mental
can
attitude,
change biological functions.
state
It's
of
insane.
mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, like I took a step back and I was just like, okay, like I always knew that my dad was unhealthy and that he didn't have the information that he needed to live a healthy life, but it just only magnified why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm just like, I don't know how I got here or why I got here, but all I know is that in the beginning, as a kid trying to figure out what I want to do with my life, I needed money because I grew up very poor. I watched my parents struggle.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I need to do something, and I don't have time to go to a 4-year college. I don't have the money, and I don't want to be in debt for the I don't want to be in debt for the rest of my life. So yeah, I'll admit at the beginning, I liked what I was doing, but I was like seeing a paycheck.
Yeah.
And then as years went on and I worked for other people and saw the way things were done unethically and just not the way I would run a business, I finally branched out on my own, and it became much deeper for me as to why I wanted to help people and be a massage therapist and be an esthetician and be in wellness. And it wasn't like, it didn't stop there, like after I left work for the day, I wasn't like, okay, I'm just going to go drive through McDonald's. And it was like, oh, I want to go take a yoga class. I want to go home and cook a meal and look up a recipe. And like, it was just unfolding for me. Like the more I worked with people one-on-one, and also saw really unhealthy clients. I mean, just trying to like, who am I to take on a client and say I can make you better if I'm not going to live that way?
Yeah, the same exact way. It's so
if
true.
I'm not going to live a healthy lifestyle, who am I to just take your money and have you coming back to me every month just for a massage? Like, it's so much more than that. My clients, when they come in with certain issues, I want to know how they live. You sit at a desk all day. You bring lunch. Do you go through a drive-through?
Like no wonder you got fucking problems.
Yeah, like what are you doing? Like I want to know why. I'm not just there to take your money.
Yeah.
And so, in a roundabout way, like do you hear that? These walls are thin.
No, yeah, I can cut all that out. It's perfect. I can cut all of it out.
So in a roundabout way, after my dad passed away, I was just like, this is why. This is my why. Not to avoid cancer, not to say, oh, I'm never going to eat a cookie again, or I'm not making a vow to never eat food again or have fun or live my life.
You want a better life for yourself.
I just want to change my family's history and I don't know if I'm going to have kids, but what I do know is that I'm already off to a better start than where my parents brought us into the world.
Do you want kids? Not to...
I don't know.
Do an abrupt transition, but...
I really don't know.
Okay.
I love kids, but I'm so good with them, but...
I feel like you're way too maternal to not have kids.
I don't know. Like, I love animals.
Yeah.
I'm like
it's like having a little puppy for a little while,
I know. I feel like the only thing is, though, which... This is something I feel like our generation of women are experiencing right now who don't have children, because I'm going to be 31.
Yeah.
I struggle with being able to have duality with being a mom. Like, so another part of me is that I sing in the band, and there's so much that goes into being a mom that I feel like I would want to I want to immerse myself into it.
In it, yeah.
100%. I wouldn't want to be that mom that is like, well, I'm going to work 40 hours a week and sing in my band. But at the same time, I would want my child to see that
part of you.
You can do both.
Of course.
But I think there's so many other fears that come with that. Like, I'm not going to lie, being on stage, like, I've pretty much been healthy and fit my whole life. If I go and get pregnant, that's not really exactly what the college bars want to see, a pregnant singer.
I mean, some might.
It would change my life completely.
Yeah. I mean, temporarily. I mean, I hear you talking about instilling things in your clients and people around you, and it's like you can instill that in someone that literally came from you that can, I mean, like you talk about like ending generational suffering, like who's going to carry it on? You know,
Right.
not to put like some pressure on you, but like I have 2 kids and I'm not a woman, so I can't even like fathom the love that like my daughter's mother has for her, and
It's different
my
when
son-
someone comes out of your body.
way fucking different. So like that kind of love, I can't even imagine. But I do know that when my grandmother, my meme, passed away, she was surrounded by her family, and no one gave a shit about what nightclub she went to, if she sang on stage, if she was into
Right.
health. It was like you were there for us. Like she created all these sentient beings, you know. So I will
Yeah.
always be like an advocate. Like, and it's sad when you see a woman that is so set on not having kids, and you're like, what are you gonna like? Who's gonna be by your side when you have limited fucking air left
Yep.
and
I
limited
think
days
about
left?
that. My
Yeah, it's
twin
like-
sister and I sat on either side of my dad's hospital bed when he literally took his last breath, and I'm like, if I don't have children, then who will be there for me on that day for me?
Yep.
And then I also think, well, if I don't, what can I say I did with my life? You know, like what's the most important thing? You know, and my boyfriend and I recently got into this conversation because when we met, he was pretty vehemently against having children.
Okay.
And you know, in the beginning of a relationship, you want to just be like, that's fine. You know, I'm the one. He'll change his mind for me. I'll
of
fix
course,
him.
of course, yeah.
And then, like, as months went on, I'm like, wait, so, like, you really, for sure, are, like, dead set? And he was like, well, yeah, like, I've never really had any interest. And he had his own personal issues in the past with exes that made him kind of struggle with the idea of having children. And
Yeah.
I understand everyone's entitled to their past and their feelings, but it made me start thinking, well, then, what can I say I did with my life? And, you know,
Who can you tell it to?
who can I tell that I got to sing on stage for almost 20 years of my
Yeah, because no one's gonna care like your kids do. Like people listening will be like, "Oh, like that's awesome," and they have questions
Right.
and shit like that. But
your kids think you're
yeah,
superhero.
my daughter thinks I'm like the coolest
shit.
fucking thing, and it's
Exactly.
just
I don't
it's
know.
the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, so I mean, there's that, and then there's the biological clock.
Yes.
You know, obviously, if you live a healthy lifestyle and you're good,
It's
to, your,
longer.
good to your body
Yeah.
and all the things, you can have we can have kids later, but I don't know. It's a big thing, and not to mention the cost of living for us right now
it's crazy.
as millennials. It's
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Yeah, I decided that the more my finances go up, the more kids I want to have, because I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm like, how the fuck do I afford this? Like, I want my kids to have the best of everything. So, and I mean, finances are going up, so you know, I just want to keep popping them out. Well, I can't. Well, I guess technically, but yeah. Anyways.
You could.
yeah. These days, I could, you know.
But
maybe.
getting into the conversation with my boyfriend in the beginning of us dating was like, first of all, it was really refreshing, like, to be in our generation and have a guy that's open to communicating, number one. That was like, okay, the fact that you're even open to communicating this
Yeah.
means that I found a good guy, number one. But it was kind of like, okay, well, hearing the person that I love telling me that they don't want to, like, procreate with me is like, again, what can we say we did in this life?
Kind of makes you want to procreate more.
Yeah,
You're
it was
what,
kinda like-
what do you mean you don't want?
Why not?
That's great.
But yeah, to answer your question, I'm still pretty torn on the whole kid thing.
Yeah.
Like, if I had a perfect world, I would have a kid at 37 and, like, be a stay-at-home mom, you know, like.
Yeah.
But I don't want to fully let go of my identity with my
Yeah.
my wellness practice and my band.
I don't think you would necessarily have to, but again, something that's so hands-on. This is another great like segue. So I was in chiropractic school, and like the idea for me was like getting out, having some prestige, having some like this, like where I was studying, like chiropractors can do childbirth and shit like that. So, and I was doing like cadaver labs. It was like actual fucking medical school. It was insane. But I had this realization as I was adjusting my classmates. I would come home, I'd have a sore back, and my wrist would hurt. And I'd be like, every single time I adjust somebody,
You hurt yourself.
I am inherently taking away something from myself.
Yep.
Which put this weird perspective on it for me. I'm like, okay, if I want to live this life where I'm promoting wellness, then how can I go to work every day and kind of put myself in a detriment?
Yep.
And then I realized that I I love healthcare, I love wellness, I love all these things, and I don't necessarily need to be a practitioner of that. I can be a facilitator of it. I can talk about it on a podcast. I can share information with a friend. I can start a platform. I can go talk at schools, but there was something about it where I'm like, and then the other aspect of it is always having to be right. It's like someone comes in and they have a question and you have to fire some shit off, even if you don't really know the fucking answer.
Yeah, like it's I don't know. I know chiropractic school is pretty lengthy, but like I'm a massage therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a chiropractor. So like my education was like a bite-size introduction to like a whole world of wellness that I'm not going to claim I know everything. So that's another thing. Like it's not a doctor. Like I feel the same exact way about going to work to help people and then going home and your wrists hurt and your back hurts.
Shit. Yeah.
I feel like shit. I take like 15 clients a week, and obviously I'm an esthetician, so I do skincare too, and like that's like my reprieve. But yeah, like how
I guess like why I brought that up is like back to the children point and being like a stay-at-home mom, because I feel like that is such a shame thing in today's society. And for like 9 months I was a stay-at-home dad, and I was busy as fuck. And I do think that like men and women are built differently when it comes to kids. And I say that because men don't have the kind of patience that like women do. I would never drop my daughter at an all-male daycare ever in my life.
No.
It would make no fucking sense.
No. So
like as far as you going to work and kind of taking away from yourself to be able to like give back to the people around you, as a stay-at-home mom, it's going to be exhausting. You're going to have sleepless nights, but you're also, and it's taking away from you, but it's also going to have way more of an effect on someone that like actually came from you and for generations to come, as opposed to like someone who like, oh my God, personal training for me. It was like
training.
I'm doing everything I can for you, and you're going home and eating like shit, and then you're coming back and like, why is the scale going up, Patrick? I pay you all this money and this, and I'm like, so, but like being able to like do everything that I do in front of my daughter is one of the coolest things in the world. Like I'm finding a way to get her involved right now with some designs, and she's already talking about wanting to be this and wanting to be that, and everything I've ever done in my life, all the money I'm making now, XYZ, nothing compares to when like she looks at me and she's like, I want to be a part of this.
That's amazing.
I'm like, it's just the coolest fucking thing in the world. So,
and what your parents do in front of you is going to shape you one way or another, whether it's damage you or send you flying into the next dimension with like so much knowledge and skills and just readiness for life. Like I feel like your daughter's generation, like college is gonna be obsolete. Yeah. We're gonna have these crazy rich ass entrepreneurs like doing the most.
Everything's changing. Everything is changing.
I can't even believe just our generation alone, I feel like a good chunk of us didn't go to college and are doing better than the people that went to college. Like I know for myself, like
I feel like when our generation gets into like more into, because like politics right now seems like it's still a lot of like older people of old. I feel like when our generation is in, there's going to be real change. Yeah. I think like my little brothers, I don't know if I really want them in fucking charge at all.
No, but our generation,
yes.
90s kids.
A lot of entrepreneurs, like a lot of self-driven people. And then I feel like there's some generations like now that aren't as driven and they're a little more entitled, which I guess in this world, like you should be entitled to a degree and you should feel like you deserve better. But think about anything that you get, you got to work for.
Think about what we had. Think back when we met in, 7th grade?
7th grade.
Which is crazy. I think I turned 13. And so I've known you since I was like 12.
It's crazy.
And we're in our 30s.
What did we have? Like, we were passing notes. We couldn't text.
That's what I mean. Think about what we had. Like
my
AIM.
First...
What was your screen name?
I think it was like XRAP50X.
Like 50 Cent?
Yeah.
You know mine.
Do I?
Yeah, you always used to say it.
I'm so sorry.
Che Chica.
Oh, yeah. that, oh my God. That's fucking great.
So think about what we had. We had little flip phones. We had
remember when the Razor came out?
Dude.
The fucking Razor. Oh my God. Or the Or the sidekick.
I didn't. I was. You
Well,
were.
that
You were a sidekick kid. I
I
wasn't
was
a
a
sidekick kid.
sidekick. Yeah.
But I had the razor though. But yeah, like think about what we had. We didn't have. Literally, babies are born with tablets in their hand.
Yeah.
We did not have that. So the fact that we're a little behind, really, like
Yeah.
we're technologically behind than
Yeah.
these kids that have the shit they have now. So the fact
feel like
that
Do you feel like it's a good thing that they have it, or no?
I don't, I really
I think
don't.
it's a double. I think
I
they have
know.
access, but I think
Well, what's the
we try and avoid any kind of screen time for my son. And anytime we're watching something, automatically he'll just.
Yes,
So we'll have to turn him. Like it's just.
I have
It's
a
programmed to make you just.
I have a 2-year-old niece, and like yeah, I'm like using my we have a room full of toys, blocks, books, dolls, and she's interested in all of it. But the moment I bring my phone out, drops everything.
Yeah.
And she has plenty. It's just the nature, human nature, and I don't know that we had that. I don't know that we did that. Like obviously we sat in front of the TV on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
But like we were outside.
Yeah, we saw the transition happening too.
Right.
Like my first phone was this like brick that had a flashlight on it, and I thought it was like the coolest thing in the world. And in comparison to what we have now, it is almost kind of like alien. It's like
I'm
if you
so
really think
behind.
back, and so fucking funny. I was driving here, and I'm like, I was texting, and I'm like, no, I wasn't texting and driving. I'm so sorry to say that.
He just outed himself.
Fuck. But I was thinking about texting as a whole, and I'm like, what even is this? Does it go
into the
Does
sky?
it go somewhere? Like, is it like a linear projection at someone? Does it go to a satellite and back down? And as it's coming to my phone, like, am I being
like zapped?
affected by the fucking
The
radiation
waves?
of it or something? I'm like, what even is this shit?
Right.
It doesn't even make sense.
And our parents were bitching at us when we were teenagers that we were sitting on our phones too much, and like
And I feel like now they're fucking worse than we are.
they don't even bitch anymore. They're just like, give this kid a fucking tablet, shut him up.
Shut him up.
Like,
yeah.
we were on our phones when we were bored. Kids are just on their phones, period. Now,
Yeah.
not for boredom, just because. I don't know if you know this, but I'm a big sister of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
So I've had a little now. We matched when she was 9, and she's gonna be 15 this year.
Damn.
She does not have an iPhone, thank God, but she has a phone, and she's on that thing. Her mom does her best to monitor and like the Snapchat.
It's so tough because like you don't want your kid to feel ostracized and left out either. Like they're in school.
She probably already
and it's
does because she
everyone
doesn't have
around
an
them.
iPhone.
Yeah, probably.
She's already out of the group because she
She doesn't
have
have
an iPhone.
TikTok or.
Oh, she does.
Oh, okay.
But her mom tries to monitor it so, as much as she can. But these kids find a way. Her mom discovered an app called Perp. First of all, the name itself is like,
Yeah.
what is this? It's basically like a friend/dating making app for people between the ages of 13 or like 13 and 15. And it's like Tinder, like you swipe through and you meet friends. And I'm like, okay, tell me how this can guarantee you that you're not talking to a 40-year-old man or even
How
an
does it even
18-year-old.
contribute towards society in any capacity?
It's to make friends. I'm like, well, how are you going to meet that friend? You think you're going to meet a friend on this child dating app called Perp, and then your mom's going to say, okay, I'll drive you to meet the friend?
No fucking problem.
Right.
The fucking little gnat. It's just been coming back and forth between us. It's because of the time.
It is. My fancy cocktails attracting bugs.
Shit.
But yeah, I'm like, we didn't have that. We
No.
didn't. We chat AOL chat rooms, which were bad in itself.
AIM was the shit though. Like I remember getting home from school and I just
hopping
couldn't
on.
wait to just hop on and
Well, tell the guy that I thought was cute, like, oh my god, you look so cute today.
Or put up an away message that was
Just, like,
so fucking
depressing.
or corny but at the
Song
time I was
lyrics.
like, this is gonna slap. I was like, oh, the girls are gonna see it. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, he's doing something cool. It's like-
Now, what's today's version of that? Instagram stories.
yeah, literally.
You could swipe up.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't. The kids today they have it so different. And in my opinion, to answer your question, I don't see the value.
No. I think it'll have less of a benefit. I think most people eventually, if a lot of people go inside, they want like stillness and contentment and peace. Like when you live such a fast-paced life, you're like, I want to fucking just go chill in a cabin somewhere and just
Wait, why are we always trying to disconnect, but like we can't?
Yep.
I find myself really genuinely struggling to disconnect, and like, you know, there was a point in my life where all I had was the home computer that my family shared, and I got to go on that hopefully once a day. And now I'm like cooking, cleaning, doing laundry, and all the while my phone is in my hand.
Yeah.
I can't get away from
Me
my phone.
either.
And then running a business, having the band. I have 3 social media pages, a personal, my band, and my Blue Moon Wellness page. Between those 3, I'm just like, I don't even want to say this out loud. My screen time is like 7 hours a day.
Oh yeah, mine's like 13, which is insane.
Okay, so I don't even, you made me, that just validated
Oh
me.
my God, it's so bad.
But like, I'm like, what's it all for?
Yeah.
I want to keep up. I want to post. I want people to see my personal life. I want to post like all the other businesses that have, you know, a K next to their followers. Like I want to be popular.
Yeah.
But it's like, I found myself climbing and climbing and climbing that hill. And then I found myself kind of crashing. I was like, I'm getting like kind of depressed trying to get to where everyone else is, or the standard.
Get validation.
And like, as a woman, you know, it's a little bit easier.
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
But I do know.
It's a little easier.
It's fucking way easier.
It's a little easier. But, so where my scale is set, it's that much more depressing.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it may be easier for me to get that traction, that validation, that follow, that like, if I just use my face or I use, you know, whatever it is that us girls do.
Do you think that being beautiful is a curse or a blessing?
So far,
So far, damn, it's
so
about to,
so
it
far,
could go either way.
it's been 50-50, to be honest. Are you
Interesting.
asking me because you think I'm beautiful, or are you tricking me right now to call myself beautiful?
I'm asking.
You think I think I'm pretty?
I'm asking because I feel that beautiful women in society are just going to get more advantages to everything. But it's also
I don't think that.
at what cost, right? Is it I get hired because of this?
This is a great.
Is that
this is a great
boss now
segue.
going to be a fucking creep? Yeah, right?
We spoke about this before we started recording, but working for people, it was like I was sexually harassed at almost every job I've ever worked.
Jeez.
Whether it was from a coworker, a boss, or a customer. Almost every job I've worked since I hit puberty. Like my first job was Abercrombie & Fitch.
I remember that.
Or it was actually Hollister. Then I worked at Abercrombie & Fitch. Between those 2 jobs, I started there when I was 17. Like, and I experienced sexual harassment before that age.
So fucked.
Before puberty, I experienced that from adults, teachers, classmates, like before I hit puberty. So I will say, like, you having a daughter, like a beautiful one, she's going to experience it. And
I know.
whether or not she tells you or even recognizes it, there's little innuendos and everything that every person says. And my mom I have a very beautiful mom, and she raised us like basically to be afraid of the world. And that's where it gets a little like tough for me,
Of course.
because I was raised to be afraid of everything and not to go anywhere alone. Till this day, I don't walk my dogs alone. I don't walk my dogs around my neighborhood that I've lived in for 30 years.
Yeah.
I live in my childhood home by myself, and I don't walk my dogs alone. And I've lived in that neighborhood for 30 years. I can't do it. I'm too scared. And so opening up a business as a massage therapist,
Yeah.
can you imagine? Can you imagine
can't.
some of the things I've endured?
I bought you
Pepper spray
I
and an
bought you
alarm.
pepper spray and a fucking
Yup.
alarm because I was like, you're just down here by yourself. Like, what are you
Yup.
gonna do? And then you were like, well, I have a hammer under my sink or something like that. I'm like, no, like you need something to. So,
Yeah. So, yes, to answer your question in part, there have been days where I don't want to leave my house. There was days where I wanted to shut my business doors. Like, when you're starting a business during a pandemic,
oh, it's insane.
you're in your early 20s, you're hungry, you want to make money, you'll take anyone. So I was, posting on social media, Facebook, hey guys, I have a local business. Come and get an appointment with me. I have great rates. So here comes John Doe walking in my door and thinking like, oh, he's just a local older guy looking for massage therapy.
You told me some shit about people just coming in like ripping their
Getting
fucking
undressed,
shirts off.
getting
Yeah.
undressed in front of me, asking me sexual questions. I was sexually assaulted. I don't know if I had seen you since then, but I was physically assaulted. A man groped my boobs and my butt. And I let him come back because I was so nervous. I was like, well, it wasn't that bad. And like, you know, I'm not trying to pull like a Me Too or anything. And like now, I fired him like months later. But I did. One day I woke up and I was like, that's not fucking okay, actually.
Fuck
and
no.
this guy was showing me videos on his phone of sexual things he had done. And I was just like so uncomfortable in the situation that I would just laugh it off. But then months later, I just like woke up and I was like,
what the fuck am I doing?
I was like,
yeah.
For what? Because he pays me? There's another client around the corner. I do enough marketing. I trust myself enough to get another client that I don't need him. And I think that's where the fear came from. Like strippers, they don't leave their jobs because they make a shit ton of money.
True.
It's security, but what do they have to do? Honestly, and that's
at what cost?
That's where like massage started to get toxic for me, where I was taking male clients that I loathed.
You were like, I don't want to fuck
this guy's coming in. I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, fuck, I hate this guy.
And then he's like, I need my glutes done, and you're like, no, they're actually fine. They're nice and loose. Yeah, I'm gonna work on your fucking traps, actually.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I want to take off the top blanket, and then they have a boner, and then I'm just like, in this little studio that I'm renting in my first business, like trying to just avoid this elephant in the room, more like a peanut, but
an elephant with a peanut.
And I'm just like, at what cost? Okay, so I'm gonna get $100 for massaging this guy for an hour. Literally not worth it. So it got to the point. It's to the point now where 4.5 years later, I literally don't take new male clients. You want a guy to come to me? It has to be your husband, your boyfriend,
okay,
your baby daddy, like your dad.
Someone where there's some affiliation or relation.
There's a connection. There's like a barrier there.
Good for you, though.
I straight up say no. I have had guys show up at my door unannounced. I have had guys message me on every platform possible. They, unfortunately, as a business owner, your phone number's on your website, your business address
Everything
is there.
is public. They can just show up whenever the fuck they want.
One thing, and even in my band, at my shows, I'll play a show.
Oh, yeah, that's another aspect, too, of... I'm sure you get some fucking crazy fans and...
I'll play a show and then, let's just say it's on a Saturday. Monday morning, I have a new appointment request through my website from, Dick. And...
Stop it.
And I'm like, okay, my ears are up now. And I'm like, why is there a new guy that suddenly requested an appointment out of nowhere? And,
he checked into Mulligan's Island a few days ago.
Right. He was at the show, and then he saw me, and then he looked my band up, and then he looked me up, and then he saw I had a business, and then he saw I was a massage therapist. That's all it takes.
I'm in there.
I'm in.
I'm in.
She's going to rub me. And that's their mentality. Stop. And I've literally had guys, like, in the past, I'd be like, whatever, I'll let him in. And then it would be like, oh, I saw your band. And I'm just like, so that's how you found me.
Yeah.
You didn't need a fucking massage. You saw my band. So now I'm at a point where you want to get in, you better know somebody.
Yeah, find your way in.
Find your way.
And not through that. So did you like shut off your like new appointment portal or?
No, I don't have online booking.
Okay.
But people just put in appointment requests and I just don't answer.
Good.
I just straight up don't answer. And then I'm like a little awkward with talking on camera on my Instagram, but once in a while I'll put up a story and be like, hey, just want to remind everyone, like, I don't take new male clients, and it has to be a referral because it's unfortunate for the good guys, because can I just say that not every guy
is like that? Yeah.
I have male clients that have been coming to me since I worked for Massage Envy 6 years ago who wouldn't dream of
good. That's good.
Doing something like that. So I want to say, like, I have solid male clients, and I'd say it's less than 10. Literally, it's less than 10 guys that I have that are great. But unfortunately,
those aren't good numbers. I thought
they're not good numbers. I'm being generous when I say 10, and I've been in business for 5 years, and I see almost 100 people a month.
Wow.
So that's not good numbers, but not every. So I will say, like, there's a few guys that ruined it for the good guys that are just looking for a massage.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
But I'm so scarred and so scared to bring new people into my business that I just can't. I can't risk it, unfortunately.
That sucks.
It does. It really does. I love men. I don't think that all guys are assholes, but it's just in my line of work, I just don't trust them.
Yeah.
I don't trust them.
Well, it's like pattern recognition. Like, if I
did
walk
this
down the
10
street,
times.
yeah, it's like, what are you supposed to do at this point?
I did this 10 times. I did this 100 times. Like, I learned my lesson. I got burned. Like, I would be the idiot to continue to think that it's going to be okay, because it's not. Like, there's even been times where I've been like, oh, this guy seems really normal. And then the day before his appointment, do you accept tips? What kind of question? And then now my hackles are up.
Yeah, you're like, what's up?
I'm like, what do you mean do I accept tips? I'm like,
What kind of tip you talking about?
yeah. And there's always some like sexual innuendo. And then I'm like, I'm canceling your appointment. Bye.
Yeah.
Blocked.
Good for you.
Even if that's all they ask, I'm too weirded out. And it's unfortunate that I have to live like that, because I live like that not only in my business, but in my band, in my day-to-day life. Like, I was on dating apps for 2 years. Like, I was out there. And then that also was bringing weirdos to my website and shit. I was out there, like, meeting men, like, in the world. Women do this. Like, we got to meet people. It's the only way to do it. I don't go to bars. I don't drink. Like, I got to use dating apps.
You go to church and meet him. Well, you have a guy now, obviously, but you go to church, right?
No, I don't.
Yeah. But I'm saying, well, no, because I was raised Catholic, and like half the people at church, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you lived an insane 6 days, like cheating on your wife and fucking beating your kids, and now you're...
Sunday rolls around. These guys are the pinnacle of perfection.
Yeah, it's insane. But what's it like being on stage? Like, what was that transition for you? Because, I mean, I think in general, some people just might be born with like a natural talent and like lack of fear to be in front of a fuck ton of people. Or were you like that?
I mean,
or the first time you're like, I might shit my pants up here.
Well, I started singing lessons when I was 9.
Okay.
And I had
wait, were we in chorus together?
Of course we were. There's pictures in the Aldrich yearbook.
Yeah, I was a tenor.
I fluctuated between alto and soprano.
Yeah.
I had my first recital coming up, and I was like, I can't do it. I'm gonna just throw up. I'm gonna die. I can't sing and in front of people. And then I remember my first recital, and I sang like an Italian song. So scared, so awful. I sounded so bad. I was a kid, and I quit singing lessons. I was like, I don't ever want to do a recital again.
Damn.
Gave it up. And then I just sang in chorus. And then when I got to middle school, I was in a couple plays. And then I joined chorus in high school. And I just kept singing, but I never really made like a big deal about it. And then I did a couple talent shows at Pilgrim. And again, it was never. And then my singing teacher that I went to when I was 9 actually ended up teaching at Pilgrim. And I started seeing her for private lessons again as a teenager.
Interesting.
And it just, as much as I tried to like push it away, I just kept finding my way back to it. And then as soon as I graduated high school, my siblings and I started the band, and we practiced for like months and months and months, building a set list. And like my first show was at Mardi Gras in Cranston.
Oh, fuck.
My first show. I was 18.
Damn.
I was so nervous. Heart beating out of my chest. Like, so nervous. But I was having so much. It was so fun.
I bet.
I was so
like
young.
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras was, that place. I'm sad that they closed down, because that place was the shit. So yeah, that was my first show, and I just fell in love with it at that point. And we've been together now 13 years.
Why the name? Why
Dr. Slick used to be, it made sense at one point. It was all of our initials. So I'm the S. At the time, it was Dylan, Randy, Shaley, Lauren, Ian, Colin, Kyle.
Interesting.
It doesn't make sense anymore. We're all displaced, and one of my brothers left the band, and he got married.
Why isn't your twin in the band? Why isn't Dallas in it? I can picture her being a drummer or something. That'd be great.
I don't know. She did a little musical stuff in high school, but she was an athlete. She was like more into other things and hanging out with the wrong crowd.
Oh, jeez. Stop.
Sorry if you see this, Dallas.
Yeah, no, we're going to bleep it out with one of those like censored things.
But yeah, that now, for being honest, like being in the band after like 13 years. I'm getting old. Like, I'm getting up there now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be 31. I know that may seem like, oh, you have your whole life ahead of you, but like when you've been doing it and in it, like the struggle that I was telling you about with building your social media presence, like
Yeah.
the judgment and like the commentary and trying to be like everyone else is like, with the band, it's the most prevalent thing in my life. Like that anxiety. And then, maintaining a healthy singing voice for as long as I have, like, I lose my voice a lot. I'm not young.
Yeah.
Like, I'm young, but I'm not like, it's not as easy as it used to be. And you see these celebrities touring and stuff, like, they do 1 hour sets. I'm singing for 3 hours. We play gigs for 3 hours. So, like, it is so much on my body. And I'd say, like, now that is my biggest priority with keeping myself healthy. Like,
Yeah.
I don't drink at shows. I am like,
Do you drink in general?
not
still?
really. Like,
Yeah.
I'll have a glass of wine.
It
At,
seems like you're
with
not
dinner.
really into it anymore. Yeah.
No, I never was.
Yeah.
I never really smoked weed, like, after, like, the age of, like, 17. I just, like,
Yeah.
didn't really jive with any of it.
Good
And
for you.
I like to have a drink and, like, if I'm
course.
on vacation, like, yeah,
Have fun.
pull it
yeah.
up. I want pull it up. I want a pina colada. But I find myself ordering mocktails now. But yeah, my health is like the biggest thing now when it comes to singing. I'm like, I have to prepare for like 48 hours before I have to sing.
Really?
Yes, like I am drinking tea, herbal things, honey, vocal warm-ups, vocal steaming, exercise. Like, you have to do cardio to be a good singer. Like,
True.
there's
yeah, it's
so
exhausting.
much that goes
Yeah.
into it that you wouldn't even believe. Like, I'm recovering, and then I wear high heels to all my gigs. Like, I'm hurting. She hurting. So, like, you think, like, oh, it's so cool, you're in a band, and like people are always saying it, and I'm just like, I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
But it's so fun, and it's so worth it, but it's just like, it's not for the faint of heart. That's why you only know a few friends that are in bands, because
Yeah.
the amount of work it takes.
It seems like a lot.
It's a lot.
I have 2 questions, and I might forget the second one by the time you answer the first one, so forgive me.
It's like I'm blabbering.
No, not at all. That's the point. You're the guest. I'm just here to fucking listen and ask questions.
You ask, I
know?
answer.
Yeah, right? What would affect you more if someone new came to one of your shows and they made a comment that you couldn't sing, or if a new client came to you for a massage and they were like, that was a horrible massage?
Ooh, that is such a hard question because I take a lot of pride in both of those things.
Okay.
But
gun to your head, you got to choose right now.
I think because, like, music is, like, subjective, like, talent. And, like, you might like 50 Cent, but I like Trey Songz. Like,
That's very fucking true.
Like, to me, one person could tell me I'm the best singer in the world, and they believe it's true. And then another person could be like, she's not that great. Like, I can't please everyone.
Yeah.
It would hurt feel more personal if it's about my singing voice, because, like, obviously you watch American Idol, like, either they can sing or they can't.
Yeah.
So it feels more personal when it's something that you're born with. But I went to school for massage, and, like, I learned this trade, and it's something that I've, really honed in, and, like, I've got my own little set of skills and my own technique that I follow, and someone could also not like that.
True.
But yeah, I think I would be more affected if someone said I was a shitty singer. Which is why I take so much pride in it. Like, I was born with that. If I can't do it, then, like, what am I always ask my boyfriend, I'm like, be honest, like, I know you're at my shows and you're supporting me, but, like, you would tell me if I suck, right? Because that would be so, he's like, I wouldn't bring friends to your shows if you sucked. He would be like, he was like, I would, like, pop in for, like, a quick set or something, and then I'd be like, all right, I'll see you later. He's like, I would be honest with you.
That's good.
So, listen.
Yeah.
It's more personal when it's your talent you're born with.
True.
You can't please everyone, and that's something I've had to really, really get comfortable with, understanding.
I don't think we can please anyone.
Literally,
you fucking can't please anyone.
We'll be playing a gig, and they'll be like dancing, and everyone's having a great time, and then there'll be someone that comes up to us and be like, hi, we didn't know that song and we didn't like it. And then, right, like, okay, well,
No one gives a shit.
There's like 40 more songs, so you just wait.
Yeah.
You can't please everyone. What was your second question? Did you forget it?
No.
Oh.
I did, but then I remembered it. Is there an end goal that you have, or is it strictly something that you just get enjoyment out of?
The band?
Yeah.
I used to have a lot more agenda around it. I was like auditioning for The Voice and like America's Got Talent, and you get like a little bit you get kind of, you get a taste of, oh, they liked me, like, and I got 2 auditions out of that. Like, that must mean I have to, like, fight for this. But I am, like, against struggling artist mentality.
Interesting.
I'm against it. Like, you shouldn't have to, like, give up. I know people who have gone homeless.
Just to be able to get this, to be on, yeah.
I don't believe in it. I will never do that. I'm way too grounded. And, like, I also realize how much work it takes to be in a band. To get 6 people together, adults with day jobs, and, like, all of us can get together twice a week. That is
and exhaust ourselves.
That is a blessing that we can do this. With some of my bandmates have children. My brother has a baby. Like,
damn.
The fact that there's 6 of us that are like, yes, we are committed to this. At least once a week, we're playing a show. That is great for me. That, to me, that is like, I get to express myself, have a hobby, go out, meet people, socialize.
Yeah, being a human.
Music.
Yeah, being a human being.
I'm gonna kill this fly.
No.
Yeah, like out of your day-to-day work, running your business, like, to me now this band is just like, this is my fun time. This is my paid hobby.
That's awesome.
What's that saying? Like, you have to have like 2 streams of income. One is like something it's like an art form, and then do you know what I'm getting at?
I don't know.
There's like some saying that it's about having 2 forms of income.
The saying that I go by is the average multimillionaire has 7 sources of income. So that's what I'm working on with all my different businesses.
Well, right now I have 2.
Yeah, I think I'm at 7 now.
Actually, technically,
6.
do you invest in stocks?
Yeah, I do.
That's technically sort of what I know.
I got a property recently too, so
good for you. Yeah. Hey, at 31, we're not doing that bad.
No, definitely. Yeah, no, it's on 3 acres of land in Coventry. So if I ever want to,
is it a rental?
No.
You're gonna move into it?
No. Someone's renting it right now, but on the land, I'm thinking about, I don't know, like building like a bunker underneath it or something, just in case, you know.
Uh-oh.
Right?
Pat's got his tinfoil hat on.
Right? Look. Like, what if? You know?
Anything's possible.
Yeah, I'll get a nice bunker. I'll build a bunker.
Do you should we go down that? Like, do you believe that you're gonna need that at some point?
The
likelihood of that?
I think it's easy to think that you wouldn't.
True.
If we go and like look back at history, it feels like we're just someone pressing a button away from. So I believe that we live in a very privileged society, right? To the point where half of the shit that we even give a fuck about is a privilege, and other countries, they obviously it's a lot different. So I think that at any point in time, it could get taken away from us. Whether it be by the government or we go to war and we get invaded, who the fuck knows? But it's easy to kind of like put your head in the sand and ignore it. Like, but also, I have a life to live. I got kids to raise, so for me to like sit around,
focus on that,
and yeah, because like balance and extreme. Like, am I gonna sit here and be like, okay, in the next 6 months before the election, I gotta build this bunker? No, like, but if it was something that like was done by proxy. I had extra income. It was cool. But like to think
you're not
that
gonna invest in that right now.
Yeah, like to think that like I need it because it's imminent. I don't think it's at that point. But then I could be fucking wrong too, you know. So.
I think you have a good point about the things that we focus on are like a luxury.
Oh yeah.
To be able
half the shit that we like
about
argue about is just
like we're lucky that those are our arguments.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, I don't have a like specific topic on like nothing political, but just the fact that we get to wake up fucking in a probably decent house.
Yeah.
With food and running water. And I'm just like, I have to go to work. Like, I really genuinely, I hate like the whole like, you should change your mindset. You get to go to work. But like, genuinely, we get to do that.
Someone said something once where they were like, you go home and you take a shit in clean water. Some people
don't even have that.
They don't even have
a toilet
or clean drinking water, and we shit in clean drinking water.
They could drink our toilet water.
It's fucking insane. I mean, it's not funny. Like I'm laughing, but it's fucking insane.
But the fact that we think we have, but at the same time, I hate myself when I'm like, when I don't let someone have a human complaint
Yeah.
When I'm like, well, it's a first world problem. And I'm like, well, why are you saying that to that person? Because we are in the first world.
Yeah. Yeah, we're living here.
We are. And
Yeah, we're stuck
if
in
that's
it.
a problem that we're having, then that's a problem they're having. And I've stopped saying first world problems because that's my reality. And I'm not going to move to a third world country so I can now
Live off the, yeah.
Like, I need to let people have.
Interesting.
I really do struggle with myself when I, like, bitch at people for, like, complaining about, like, oh, you know, fucking.
It's their environment. They're
like, oh,
their
the
life.
Taylor Swift tickets were sold out, and, like, now my life is over. And I'm just like,
That's a little fucking crazy.
You have it very easy.
Yeah.
That's your biggest problem. You know what I mean? And, like, but I'm like, maybe Taylor Swift is really important to them, and, like, that she does something for them, and, like, I'm just discounting that because someone else somewhere in the world doesn't have water. You know that?
Yeah. It's hard to
find. It
find.
doesn't change.
It's
their
hard
reality.
to find, like, some sort of balance in it because I feel like when you live in America, but I feel that, and I want to kind of speak for you, like when you have a spiritual like side to yourself and an awareness, and you're like, okay, I'm involved in all this fuckery, but it's just the way of the world. If I step too far out of it, I'm going to feel ostracized by everyone, and then I'm going to have no friends at all. And I'm really not at the point where I'm going to go to Tibet and live on a mountain and wear an orange cape
So I
and
gotta
meditate.
do this.
So but I've been seeing a life coach for like a decade, and
Same one.
yeah,
Wow.
and I saw him, and it's at the point now where I'm not even looking for guidance as much as it's someone to talk to that's like-minded and can inspire me, right? Because
It's hard to find.
yeah, because you go to a therapist, it's verbal vomit. You think you feel better, you leave, you go back to your fucked up life, you go back to the therapist, you talk about it again. Where with him, everything I say, he won't let me blame other people ever, and he'll always put it back on me. So it's always self-accountability.
I 100% see that. I actually, in the last 48 hours, ended my therapy like journey with my therapist that I was with for almost 7 years.
Yeah.
I just like
what have I done? Like what?
Well, she was great, and like the one thing that you just said, she would like by the end of my career with therapy, I almost never went in there talking about anyone else. It was always about me.
Yeah, which is good.
Which I was like, okay, I got something out of therapy because I never or when I would go in wanting to talk about someone else, I would always bring it back to myself.
Good.
So I just felt like I was ready to
it gets to that
graduate.
Yeah, it gets to that time. For me, having a life coach, it's a lot more personable where I learn more about his life too. And we talk about
that's the thing. It always felt like I'm paying someone to tell them like my life, but I know
it's
nothing
so
about
one-sided,
her.
and it feels like regurgitated information. Whereas I saw him live in Coventry, and then he moved to like a ranch in Coventry with like horses and stuff like that, and there was like a nature walk path. Then he moved to Florida, and now he lives in the Dominican on a mountain with barely anything besides he has like internet because of like Elon Musk's Starlink, but I saw him go through the same journey of I'm a part of the society,
Evolution.
I'm spiritual, I'm feeling a certain way, and I just had a session with him like 2 days ago, and to see where he is now mentally about the shit that I'm complaining about, and he's like, I drive down the road and there's a kid playing with a stick in his underwear, and he's the happiest kid I've ever seen in my life.
We need to simplify.
And it's like, and I'm like, do I want that for my kids?
Not
No,
really.
because I'm so conditioned to think that I want generational wealth and I want to leave something to my kids and I want to be popular too and I want brand. So I'm like, what really is
We can't
the right
deny
way?
that money makes life easier.
Oh,
You
yeah,
can't
for sure.
deny that. Like, I'm not going to sit
Like, he
here.
had to get to the Dominican, right?
How'd you get there?
Right, so.
We cannot sit here and deny that money doesn't make life easier and better.
Yeah.
Like, think about times in your life where you were struggling. Like,
oh, I feel so much better now that I have money. Like, I was at a point before where I had an amazing job. I lost the job and I took the first thing I could find, and it was 1/4 of the salary. And I had rent due.
Struggle.
And in that time, I was like, well, I can't pay my rent and I can't pay my car note, so I'm going to just get fucked up. And I would just get cooked and my car got repossessed. I mean, I'm not advocating for that, but,
no, but you're like,
I was in the mind
you're
frame
not there
of being
anymore.
like, I don't have
anything.
So I'm just going to use it to not feel like a piece of shit anymore because I can't even like afford the things that I could afford. It was a shitty feeling, and I could never go back to that.
When did you go through that?
2014 probably.
You were just
Yeah, it was
were you
it was like 10
clubbing,
years ago.
Clubbing,
No,
drinking?
it was. I was with someone. We had lost a baby at the time, which was like a fucked up situation. And then
I remember that.
it kind of like propelled, and I had a good job, and then I lost a job at that same time, and like we broke up, and it was just it was a spiral. It was a weird time. And then like to be blunt, I was at a point where I was contemplating suicide. I remember exactly where I was. I remember like walking up and down this hill in the pitch black, and I was like, how am I going to do this? Do I leave a note? And randomly, as I was doing that, I got a notification on my phone that I had a new follower on Instagram, and it was my daughter's, and it was Ashley, my daughter's mother. And it was just like the weirdest timing. And then within a couple months, she was pregnant, and now I have my daughter.
Your life did a 180.
Completely. Well, I will say it was a journey because now I'm with her. I'm an alcoholic mess. I have nothing going for me. She gets pregnant. And I mean, during that time, I start seeing the life coach. I go back to school. Like, she's used to me being this, like, almost piece of shit. And now I'm raising up and I'm doing better. And then she's always waiting for the next foot to drop, obviously. She's like, is he just going to, like, go off the rails again?
I remember you at that time in your life. Like, our friendship has always remained, but
yeah.
I, like, have taken steps back from being friends with you during certain times in your life.
Absolutely.
You went through a lot of ups and downs. So,
fuck yeah.
Like, to know that you were as low as you were and to see, like, Callie and then...
It's crazy.
It's just like...
It feels like someone else's life at this point because I'm so far beyond that, but it knocks sometimes too, though. It's like, it's like, no,
he's never not going to be there.
Yeah, I'm still here. And I feel like to a degree, like I've been put in situations where I feel threatened, and I'm like, I'm glad I have that part of me because I might have to save myself and my family right now. So like there's a degree of like trauma that can benefit you and kind of steer you on a better path. But it's crazy because now that I have a son and a daughter, I want to protect them from all that. But I'm like, am I really doing you any fucking favors? Because it builds character.
Do you think that your upbringing or the relationship you witnessed between your parents shaped your romantic relationships?
Absolutely.
You think it's like 100% related?
1000%. I mean, I think that a lot of people, they grow up and they see things and it either like becomes their environment or they get so disgusted by it that they just kind of go in the opposite direction. But like my dad would try and like instill it inside of us. Like it, like talk about everything in front of us. Like everything was done in front of us. Like, so we'd witness it and then like we would be told by him.
Good things or bad things?
Oh, bad. And then he would justify why he would do it. And if you're good with your words, you can convince anyone of anything.
Yeah.
So as a kid, you're like, well, that makes sense. I know why he would do that. Then you grow up thinking it's fucking normal. And then it's like, you get to a point where you're like, what is my life? And who the fuck am I?
Did you find yourself repeating patterns in your romantic relationships that you saw your parents doing?
Oh, yeah. 1000%.
Like you can fully admit you were in toxic relationships that were mostly on your part?
1000%. But in the time, like, and I'm not even saying that I have the best track record of the women that I've chosen either, right?
Hey, no judgment.
Like you manifest kind of
who your next partner is.
Or to my dismay too, you can manifest someone, like there'll be like some girl who hasn't lived much of life and there's some aspect of her that like likes a bad boy. So I've gotten both aspects, but I will say is that the majority of those girls I've never gotten into a relationship like that with because they probably wouldn't have tolerated my bullshit anyways. And fuck that little thing coming up at me. Yeah, what's up? But yeah.
So do you think there was a point in your life where you didn't go for like quality girls because you knew that you weren't good enough?
Yeah.
Or that they would never give you the time of day?
Yeah. Well, they would, but
they would see through your shit right away.
I think I went through a time where I didn't know if I was a good person pretending to be a bad person or a bad person pretending to be a good person. But I will say that I never lost my heart. Like, even with like girls like that, I knew where to cut it off before it got to a point where it was somewhere like they feel stuck now, and I can kind of do whatever I want. And I always avoided that. I tend to pick women that I probably knew she was going to give it back to me. She was going to be like equally as toxic. Like, it was what I deserved. I don't want to fuck someone's life up, you know?
Right.
So fuck, that's deep.
Well, because I was just recently, like, I've only been with my boyfriend for 5 months, but when I was dating, like, that filtration process is so hard to decipher who you're getting.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can really like someone and like a lot of things about them, but like,
and ignore all the red flags.
Yeah,
in the
that are
beginning,
like
too.
that are like blatant. You know, like, you want to follow all these like bumper sticker sayings, like, oh, if he really wanted to, he would, and like, if he loves you, he'll do this, and if he really likes you, he'll text you. Like, if he wants to, he will, and like that's you. So then, like, you're talking to a nice guy who maybe works a full-time job, and he just like hasn't texted you back in a few hours. And you're like, nope, he's not interested. He's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
You know, or then, you know, I experienced, like, the last guy I dated before I met my boyfriend. I actually met him organically, and I was like, wow, this never happens. Like, because I was on dating apps, so I was like meeting people in real life, and yeah, right. So I met him organically, and he like showed me this amazing like side of him, and he had a rough upbringing and like a tough past that he had, you know, been showing me that he moved forward from, and that he was different and changed, and, you know, like, he had some substance abuse, like alcohol and stuff like that. And I'm always a little weary when it comes to, like,
Of course.
someone who has a history of substance abuse, because, like you said, that part's always in you, right?
They come a knocking.
So, like, what I'm like thinking, naturally, when I start dating someone, I'm like, I want to fast forward in my mind, like, okay, 10 years down the line with this person, like,
What does it look like?
yeah, and
Are
everyone's...
they currently working on themselves? Are they in a
And
way
they say
better
they
place?
are, but then, so then, you know, everyone's on their best behavior in the beginning of a relationship. And I dated this guy for like a month, and within the first month, like, I realized how much we were going out and drinking. And I was like, you know, like, we're dating. Maybe we're just drinking because that's what you do. But then, like,
He's trying to get me lit. He's trying to get me liquored up.
Actually, on my very first date with him, for the first time in my 31 years, I blacked out.
Holy shit.
I was on antibiotics. I just gotten over the flu, and I want to say that's why
Yeah, you weren't like processing it well. I'm just trying to have you back. Yeah, I don't even fucking know. I'm not wearing a lab coat, you know. I'm like,
But I want to say that was part of what happened. But then the alcohol on his end started like coming into my house, and it was like, oh, we brought over this like bottle of 90 proof Japanese whiskey, and I just wanted to sample it because he was in the food industry, food and beverage industry. And then it was like, okay, now you're drinking full glasses of 90 proof whiskey.
Holy.
With no ice, no chaser. And I'm like, and then like when he got really drunk in front of me, and he was like, shut the fuck up.
Damn.
We're a month in.
That liquid courage, that his balls were in the bottle.
Yeah. And I was like, there was this part of me that was like, holy shit, like, I really like this guy, but I really don't like that. And I'm like, is this going to be my life with this person?
I just had a flashback to you kind of enduring things with your clients and kind of getting
like,
to a point.
It comes down to your self-worth.
Yeah. Do you feel like dealing with that in your job for so long, it kind of helped you
building
in your
boundaries,
personal life? Yeah.
Going to therapy, saying fuck you to clients that don't align with your values, and dating guys that clearly
also don't align with your fucking values, right?
So I had to make a decision, and I was like, fuck, like, I'm so sick. And then you get the dating burnout.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so sick of dating. I can't even imagine going on another Hinge date and like meeting another guy and starting over again. But I was like, that doesn't equal this being a better situation for me either.
True.
And for some reason, like, being alone is always like the scariest option.
Yeah.
That's always like the scariest option, when really like I found the most solitude, the most growth.
Oh my God, yeah.
Being alone. Waking up at 6 a.m. and going to that workout class, and like going to work for the day, and reading books and journaling. I got really into journaling. Going to therapy. Like, there was no guy around for any of that.
It's true.
Those are all the highlights of my life.
Someone sneaks in though. It always happens.
They do.
And then
slips through the cracks.
I found that there was like a couple years that I was single, and
But like, were you always pursuing someone, or were you like single,
I really
down
went,
bad?
No, yeah, I like really went inside, and I had no intention of it at all. and it eventually happened, but the amount of work that I did in that time and the person that I became has really been tried in my most current relationship, where I found myself like working on things again that I thought I was past, right?
Yep.
Because you're single and you have no one to kind of like poke at these triggers.
Check you.
Yeah, and then now I'm like, fuck, I got to go back to like square one almost, because you're living and you're with someone who's an entirely different being. They have like their own set of triggers,
And they're
like,
just
pushing
they're
you.
learning your quirks.
And when you love someone, it's so hard to just ignore what they're saying, even if they're like not even saying something bad, but if it wasn't in the right tone, you're like, are you having a bad day? Like, how can I fix this? And like, I'm a fixer and a doer, so it's like anytime my girlfriend has like a frown on her face, I'm like, what can I do to make it better?
Right.
Which is like, it's, oh, that's so fucking romantic, but it's fucking insane.
I think that's.
I try and fix everything. Every problem she has, I try and fix.
But like, do you think that's a good thing that you do that?
I think that it's good to a degree, right? But I take it to like 120 though.
Is there like a part of you that's like, if I don't fix this, then it will end? Like, do you have that fear of like?
It's probably, yeah. If I don't fix it, someone else is gonna come along and do it.
Right.
You know, or
that's the same mentality that women have.
Or she'll feel like I don't care.
Right. It'll be catastrophe if you can't make all of her.
But I'm also I'm very peculiar about my own energy and what I'm around. Right.
Ooh.
So the reason why I stayed single for so long is because I'm not trying to be fucked up. No one's really like, I'm doing so much, it's not even funny. So when I'm talking to someone, if they don't really, and I'm not trying to be like degrading, but if they're not like adding value to that or kind of like uplifting me or like filling gaps in my life that I'm missing out on because I'm so busy, it's just kind of pointless, right?
And like sex can only get you so far.
Yeah,
we've gone down. We're in our 30s. Like we've gone down that road.
Yeah,
you can hook up with people every single day and not have a serious, meaningful relationship. And where does that get you?
Yeah, I mean, I used to chase sex so much, and then my best friend Paul, like at one point, he was like, "Bro, imagine if you put the same
energy into a good woman."
No, he said, "Imagine if you put that energy into a business, like rather than chase." And I was like, "Fuck." And then I started doing that. I don't think it was at that time where like he said it, but it definitely
clicked at one point.
Yeah, it definitely clicked, and I was just like, "This is just so fucking empty." But I'm so peculiar about energy. Who's around me. Like I just So it's like when I see my partner, because as weird as it sounds, every day I wake up, I feel like it's New Year's Day. Every single day I wake up, I have no idea why. I feel like it's a fresh start. Like Monday isn't Monday to me. Like if I fuck up my diet on a Monday, I'm not like, okay, next Monday. I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna start on Tuesday, because it's a brand new year for me. It's so fucking weird, but I enjoy being like that. So I wake up in a good mood. I go to bed in a good mood. I'm in a good mood for a majority of the day. The issue being is when I see someone that's not in a good mood, I'm like, okay,
feed off their energy.
I'm just gonna make it better now. And if I can't, it's so if I'm here and someone's here, only two things can happen. I come here,
or they come up.
And you almost have to come down to try and grab them to bring them up. So if she has anything wrong, a certain look on her face, I could tell she's stressed. I try and fix it, and I can't. Sometimes you can, right? Because it's like something small, but people are just going through their own shit.
That's also something I learned in relationships. Like not one single being is going to be able to meet all of your needs.
Yeah.
Like I have become so independent in my relationship. Like somebody was just telling me the other day, they're like, oh, you guys aren't Facebook official. And I'm like, what? Like point is, like, I'm surrounded by so many couples and relationships that are so codependent and like insecure and toxic. And like, so I'm like somehow doing something wrong in their eyes by not plastering my relationship all over the internet.
So I went through this phase once where I was single for so long, but I had a bunch of girlfriends, not like in a sexual sense. Yeah. Like I had my friend Lexi, like I had my friend Sav, my friend Kat. I don't think you and I were hanging out at that point in time.
But I remember these girls.
Yeah. And I had a friend named Priya, and I had a conversation with a couple of them at like one point, and I was like, I think I have to dial back my friendships with you because I don't think I'm going to be able to attract a woman while these areas of my life are being fulfilled. Like when I want to do something, I ask Lexi. If I want to do something that's a little more like this, I'll ask Sab. And it was like, I was like building a girlfriend out of all these different women.
You were getting your needs met by 3 different people.
It was so fucking weird. And then I was like, and some of them were like a little like taken aback from it. But
Did you find it to be a challenge to date with having female best friends? Like, did women that came into the picture that you took
I felt
seriously?
like I wasn't even looking because I was being satiated in these ways.
Right, so you're like,
it
wait,
was very,
and I'm not dating these women, and I'm not sexual with them, so it's
and
like,
I'm going out and I'm spending money, or
we're
and
we're
like not
dating.
even, yeah, and it's not like an expectation, but that's just like who I am as a person. So like I'm gonna foot the bill, and I was like, why am I doing all this?
Like, we're friends.
Yes. So, and the reason why I say that is because, I realized too that when you meet someone, like I needed 3 or 4 women to kind of like satiate what I'm
What
looking
you
for in a
needed.
girl. But then if I find a girl who kind of gives me all that,
Where do those women stand?
or it makes you realize why people tend to then just care about their relationship, right? Because if I want to go to the movies, I'll ask my girlfriend. If I want to like do this, I'll go with my girlfriend. And like meanwhile, she'll be rubbing my back, and do you know what I'm trying to
Getting all your
say?
needs met.
So it's like I can understand how people get into a relationship and they kind of stop having a life because this one person is, well, you think that they're giving you everything that you need, but you do need community.
Yes.
Because every single situation that I've had like that, where I made someone my everything because they weren't, and it felt that way, there was a lot of other things that I was neglecting, like brotherhood, like bromance, like
Yeah,
that's a real
friendships.
fucking thing. Like,
Yep.
like having like good men in your life that can motivate you and call you out, and then
You can't trade that for the world.
No,
And a
and
woman
it's like,
can't give you that.
but you think they can, and you'll start trying to, hey, come to the gym with me. You want to try some boxing too? Do you want to watch some UFC with me?
And then
Do
they're
you-
like, not really.
but I'll do it for you. And then like in 2 weeks, they're a fucking Tom Brady fan and they love Conor McGregor and they like adapt to you because, you know. So
But there's nothing like brotherhood, like you said.
yeah,
And personally, like, my boyfriend has a female best friend, and I don't think a lot of women would be cool with that, but I think she's great. She lives in Colorado, but when I first like approached that with my like female friends and like my family, they're like, "You're okay with that?" And like, I'm just like, "Yeah, he had a life before me."
true.
And I want to encourage him to have a life while we're together. And I want him to have a life even if we're not together. Like, I don't want him to stop everything. The reason why you fall in love with someone is the person that you meet.
Yeah.
So why are we stripping them of who they are if that's who we fell in love with?
Yeah, most people, I think, fall in love with the idea of who they can turn that person into.
Right. And
You
to
know?
me, like, I'm so evolved from that. I'm not like chasing unavailable men anymore. I'm not like going out of when I was dating, I wasn't going out of my way to like attract anyone. There was a few guys that I like maybe gave a little too much of my energy to that I shouldn't have, but that's just, learning. But like when I finally got back into like the dating apps after taking a couple months off, I was like, this time I'm looking for a specific thing. I'm just going to be myself and I'm going to let someone be themselves. I'm not going to paint an image of somebody that I'm like trying to mold that fits my life. Like, I want someone to come into my life organically because I like everything about them, and even some things that maybe I don't agree with that they like, that's fine.
Fuck it.
That's fine. You cannot find the perfect person. And I was like, also, like, your friends, like my family, I would date people that I was like, this guy's fucking amazing. And then I'd bring him around my family and be like, he's kind of short. Oh, he's got this hair. Oh, he wears those shoes. Oh, he talks like that. Oh, he's that old. Like,
that shit's sticky.
oh my God.
Yeah.
And then
that shit's so sticky.
I would end things with those guys. And I'm just like, and then a few weeks later, I'm like, why did I do that? Like, was it something that I was ignoring or that I actually believed? Or is it because of the shame of bringing someone around that isn't like approved by everyone?
Yeah.
And that was like,
that's fucking deep.
Yeah.
That's some serious self-reflection. Most people can't do that, honestly.
No. And I was like, even like with my dad passing away, my dad was one of those biggest people to do that to me. Before he passed away, he was like, what do you think, Shaley? Do you think you'll ever find love?
Damn.
He was like, you think you'll ever find the man that you want? And he's like, I don't know. He was like, you're tough. Like, you're a heartbreaker. And I'm just like, this is my dad's image of me with like finding a man. And I'm just like, it's already hard enough as it is.
Yeah.
I was dating in the thick of my dad's cancer treatment and like his terminal cancer. And I'm just like trying to find a boyfriend in the meantime and like meet people. And it was hard to go through that without a partner. Like
Absolutely.
I was dating and I had small flings and short-term things during that time, but like I really didn't have a solid person. I was ending a lot of things during that too, starting things with people, ending it, starting things, ending it. And then meanwhile, caring for my sick father, it was just like a lot of beginnings and endings in a situation like that. I was like waiting for like with my dad's cancer, I was waiting for that to just fall.
Yeah.
So it was like not having that also made me really like reflect on what's important in life too. Like we were talking about with kids and like a life partner. Like I don't want to just date. I don't want to go get drinks. I don't want to get wine and dine. Oh, you pay the bill and like I get dressed up and like I want someone that's there in the shitty
times,
moments.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So like I really started to reflect about what exactly it is I'm looking for. So when I let people get into my ear about, oh, he's balding, he's short, he's this, he's that, I'm just like, yeah, but you know what? Like,
I mean, balding's on. Like, you can date a bald guy. Come on.
My boyfriend's balding. And you know
is
what?
he a good guy though?
Amazing.
Oh.
And he struggles with the balding, you know?
I'm sure he does.
It's tough on a guy. You know, not everyone can have this, Pat.
Well, no, I got
the
grays
grays.
now. I got the grays now.
But it's tough
We'll get
on
him a
guy.
fucking hair transplant. We'll start a No, we'll hook him
GoFundMe?
up. We'll fucking hook him up. And it's like, even if, like, I saw someone recently that was balding, and he's an attractive guy, and he got a hair
Some
transplant.
plugs?
And he's like, people call me out, and he's like, I don't give a fuck. I feel better than ever. My fucking hair's back. Who gives a shit? You know?
Right. Like, whatever. That's the other thing. Whatever makes you feel good, and like,
Do it.
just fucking do it. Obviously, with limitations. Like,
Yeah, don't fucking harm yourself.
there's a big part, like with women. Come on, the beauty standards.
Oh my god.
I feel bad that like.
Do you believe in Botox and shit like that?
I get lip filler.
Okay.
I want Botox.
Okay.
I haven't gotten it yet because I'm like, I don't want to start something that isn't necessary yet. But like, I think
Okay.
maybe when I get into my later 30s and I see more of those late nights showing up on my face.
Yeah.
But I feel bad that we don't give like men a lot of emphasis on like the aging and beauty standards for men. Like,
yeah. Well, I feel like men age better.
they do,
You know, so it's like
depending.
Yeah,
You
no.
take care of yourself, but
I will say that it's well, I don't even know. Like that could just be social media because like when I go to my daughter's school,
you see the dads and you're like, I'm like,
what
hot.
the fuck? I'm like, it's so fucking weird. She went with me to an event once, and I was like, do you see these fucking dads? It was the weirdest shit ever. I'm like,
My dad used to say that. He's
Is
like,
this
these
just
guys are
on
all
social?
bald.
Is this just on social media? Like,
Nope.
like you see these like fit ass people on social media. Like I look around, like no one's in shape anymore. Everyone's fucking ugly to me. I sound like such an asshole right now, but it's like
It's true.
But no one takes care of themselves
No.
anymore, and it's so far and few in between. It's fucking sad. Like I want to see a bunch of attractive and shape, fit people. It's like good for you.
I have a controversial opinion, and it'll be a question.
It's true.
But so on this topic of relationships and like dating and meeting people and being in long-term relationships. So you're saying like, oh, everyone's ugly to me. Like, how important is it to you that your partner maintains her health, her physical attraction, her beauty, like that she maintains that, and as obviously to take care of herself, but
Yeah.
because when I see a man like cheating on his woman and being unfaithful, when she stops being intimate with him and she stops taking care of herself and she's depressed and like he's tried everything and then he's at his wit's end and he goes and hooks up with someone.
Yeah.
A lot of those times I want to look at his partner and I'm like, what are you bringing to the relationship? And I mean, like, I'm talking like good guys, like someone that's paying the bills, going to work, like bought you guys a house.
Yeah, not some scumbag
He's
that's
not
just
a
looking for a
scumbag.
nut. Yeah.
He's just like getting nothing out of the relationship. Like,
He should leave. Well,
I think, obviously,
Yeah.
I
He
want to
sh-
know your opinion on that.
he should leave the relationship first. We'll just get that out of the way. But that's not always the case, right? Because
Children.
men can cheat and really just do it for a biological need.
It's not because
And
they're in
that's
love
it.
with someone.
And that's it. So if a man cheats, I think it's far different from if a woman cheats personally.
Because we can do it easily. Like, it's...
And I feel like women cheat more out of like emotional necessity, whereas like for a man, it's like, dude, just shoot. I've been down in the dump. She fucking threw herself at me. Cool. Like, so it's a lot different. So I do definitely hold my partner to a standard, and I feel like that's fair because the sad truth, I heard something recently where it was like, so let's say that I was in a tragic accident, right? And I could no longer provide for my girlfriend. Should she stay with me?
Should she? I mean...
I won't put you on the spot. The answer is that no, she shouldn't, because I can't, as a man on this world, my job is to protect and provide. If I can't do either of those anymore, then I'm pretty much rendered useless. And I know that's a hard truth for a lot of people to swallow, but that's just the sad reality of the world. Again, we live in a very privileged society where we can have all these things, but if we go back to like archaic times, like men would be the ones out there fucking hunting.
Women are preparing the
they
food and
probably wouldn't come home because a fucking wild boar ate them. It's just, if I can't protect and provide and give you the things that I should give you as a masculine figure, then you should leave me. Just like if you're not going to be nurturing and take care of you, like nurturing is like a woman's specialty. And that's going to be like taking care of me, taking care of
It's in our
yourself, and I'll
bones.
take care of everything else. So
that's
like,
what I mean. If your woman isn't upholding her part of the deal, which is to nurture and love and
take care of herself too, you know, like it's,
Yeah.
that would be, that's a hard, and I would do my best to like uplift and
Right, just
facilitate
where's
it
the
and
line,
give all
you
the
know?
tools, but it gets to a point where, again, if I'm here and you're here, like that's cool, like we're a partnership, like let me reach your hand up, I'll give you all the tools, I'll buy anything I need, I know
But, like,
about health,
right, where's the
I
line
know
for
about
you?
fitness, but eventually it's
like you can't.
I think everyone should always set like a deadline in their head. And like
I agree.
and I'm not talking like 6 months, a year, and you have a fucking notebook where you're just like checking shit off. It's like at the end of the 6 months, you got to make a decision, and you're gonna know if like, okay, it's at a point where it could get better, or it's like, yeah, this isn't really going anywhere.
This
like,
person is not like something that I can fix, and
for sure.
And is it your job to do that?
Yeah, I think we have a duty to the people that
For sure.
are around us in our life, but to the point where it's gonna put, like, my time is so valuable to me,
Yes.
so fucking valuable. Like I so if I'm gonna like spend time on you, then I need something tangible out of it. Like you have to show me that you're actually making a conscious effort to be better, and
Not only for you, but for themselves.
for everyone, for the family, for the future kids, for like if I see you in 10 years after we break up, like you think I want to wish fucking harm on you or be like, oh yeah, look at that bum, I'm doing better. No, I want to see you in a happy relationship. I want to see you like fund that dream that you wanted to do. It's fucking.
I will say that seeing the ex that I was with prior to like my dating journey over the last 2 years, he wasn't providing or protecting. You know, I was doing all of that. I was paying the bills and I was facilitating a place for us to live and taking care of things. I was like in my masculine, in my alpha, and like I literally like couldn't uphold that standard anymore. And like he didn't even ask me to do that. I just couldn't not do it because it's like if we don't, we'll die. Like it was like survival. Like it was survival.
Literally. Yeah.
So like, but then I wasn't being met in the middle. I wasn't being met. So
it becomes unattractive. It has to become unattractive. It's like
so
I'm
unattractive.
It's like I'm attracted, but eventually you get the ick.
I got the ick. Yeah, it was like
the fucking ick's a real thing.
I met a guy that I fell in love with, and I saw so much potential for this person, and like he was on my level. Like, you know, he had tried a few businesses and failed, and he was doing trial and error with his career, and that's fine. I like to see that.
Yeah.
That someone's like willing to try different things.
Effort.
But it got to a point where I was like, hey, 5-year plan. And he was like, nope, don't got one of those. And I was like, all right, let me ask you more specific questions. And like,
how about a 1 week plan?
Yeah, like where do you see yourself at the end of this year? Don't know. I could live in Costa Rica. Okay, like where do I fit into that?
Yeah, women
where do I fit into that? I need stability.
Like tangibility. Like, no, give me something that I can kind of like work towards too as well. Because I feel
there was
like,
no partnership there.
Yeah, women tend to adapt to their man. Like back to the point of if I like UFC and stuff like that, like, and you watch it, like you guys just love to nurture and you love to adapt, and you want a good man to adapt to. Like you want to be able to go like this and be like, I trust you.
When I'm home.
I trust you. Show me the world. And
if anything, I felt like I was leading.
Yeah.
And in that relationship,
it's empowering, I'm sure. But then
I didn't like it though. I don't want to be in that position.
It gets fucking exhausting, and I feel like that is kind of the psyop that goes on in today's world. You should empower women, but you shouldn't empower them to the point where they want to do everything that
where
like
men
a man
are obsolete.
Yeah,
we're on, both genders are here for a reason.
Yeah.
And so like being in a relationship where I'm in charge was like way too much pressure.
Yeah.
I wanted 50-50 if anything. Like I've never really been the type to be at home and like I am very domesticated, you know, like I can cook, I can clean, I can do all the things. Like I'm a homemaker. I can also work really hard and provide a really good life for myself, but like the end of the day, I want a partner to meet me halfway. And like in that relationship, I was at 100 all the time. I could never relax.
That sucks.
And he saw that and he avoided me out of that instead of like being like, you know what, like she's doing so much. Let me meet her in the middle. Let me try. And I know that he was trying, but his best wasn't good enough for me.
Yeah, it's so funny because I feel like I've lived so many lifetimes and I've been in his shoes and I've had someone like
You're
that.
a good girl and,
it
you're
makes
just like,
you,
I can't.
And it makes you even more complacent because
Yep.
you're like, why the fuck would I get up and do anything if I know that she'll pick up an extra shift? I mean, I was in a fucking scumbag mentality at that point in time because I had no aspirations. I had no goals. I was like, I could go live in fucking Costa Rica. Who gives a shit? Because I have nothing
You're so
going.
disconnected.
So it's like delusion. And then you have people around you that are doing things for you that you really can't do for yourself. So it makes you feel better and you're provided for. But yeah, I've been in that mind frame, and people like that are dangerous. Like you want to be inspired by your partner.
Right. And I was like,
As a woman, I think, like for me, it's like I already have all this going for me, like, and I find inspiration in myself, like and through this. So like, I need someone to fucking hold me down. And like with my girlfriend, she, by the grace of God, is amazing with design, and she's very particular. So like, if I design something, she'll be like, if you just move that a little closer to the right, it'll match perfectly. I'll do it. I'll be like, holy shit, you were fucking right. So like, but I don't need that. That's a bonus, like by proxy. But she was raised in like a different culture too,
Right.
so she's a lot. It's hard dating American women because it feels like I'm giving 100, you're giving 100, and then if we get together and get married, there's going to be someone else raising our kids. We're just working to fucking pay for shit. Like,
right. Like,
the point that I'm in now is
where's the power dynamic?
I want to know that like you and I have similar values. We feel the same way about the world around us. We can make decisions together and we can decide who's going to raise our children. Like, if I'm making all this money and we're doing well, why would you also go do that for someone to raise our kids? So it really just takes two people that are willing to embrace the masculinity
Yes.
and embrace the feminine and know that there is going to be some overlap.
Yeah, and that's okay.
And I'm not talking about overlap where if an intruder breaks in, I'm like, oh no, it's your turn, baby. You know, I'm saying like for instance, my girlfriend, I work all day long. She cooks for me in the morning. She was up with our son all night. So I cooked my own fucking meal this morning. Like, I'm not sitting there
Like,
or like
that's your job.
or like I'm gonna go fucking wake her up. Like, I'm a grown ass man. I can now in the morning when I'm taking calls and I'm doing this, it takes so much pressure off my plate, and it makes me feel loved. But
it
like
can't
one
be,
day
it can't be
of
every
me
day.
just no, and there's certain I don't really know of the other aspect of like I'm not gonna ask her to go change my oil or to even like pick up a shift. So, but I think, yeah, I don't know. I can embrace that other side, but it'd be weird for me if I came home and she was kind of doing like my duties, you know? I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
It got to the point where I was just like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Like I totally lost the, like I have brothers, but like I didn't have, like my dad was just an okay dad. I'm not gonna shit on the guy, he's dead, but like he could have done better. So like my standard for men has always been kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't really know exactly what I'm looking for here, but I know I don't want that. But so like to not have the provider and the protector as a young girl, and then to get into a relationship where I'm feeling like I'm floating out on my own again, but like I have this guy in my life, but he's not bringing a lot to the table. It was very like eye-opening for me. So I'm like, when I got out of that and I was alone for a while, I'm like, what the fuck kind of guys do I even like? Like, what do I even...
Yeah.
What do I even want? What am I looking for? Like, I just got out of a relationship where I was, like, in charge of everything, and, like, this person refused to meet me in the middle. So I'm like, I need somebody that isn't going to be intimidated by the fact that I do have a strong work ethic.
Yeah, I can tune into that. And if you leave me, I'm going to be good regardless because... But
when you come from divorced parents...
like, walk around like I got to do it all.
Right.
Know?
I needed someone that could definitely, like, understand that I'm always going to be good with or without you, but I really want your effort and your energy there. Like,
yeah.
And I just didn't have that for so long. So, like, when I got out in the dating world, I was just like, holy shit, I don't know where to begin here.
Yeah.
And it takes so long to get to know, like, who somebody is and the way someone's going to be, and you have to invest all this time, and then it ends up being a bust in the end, and you're like, start from scratch.
and then you don't want to start from scratch, and then you end up in your 50s and you're middle aged, and you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna get 7 cats now. You know, it's fucking. But you should never give up. Like, the minute you were born, like, you sign a proverbial contract that you're gonna get your heart broken a million times. You're gonna endure things. It's just the price of being here,
alive.
And I think the best analogy that I heard is if you watch your heartbeat on a screen in the hospital, it's like this.
Up and down.
Flatline is dead. If you just exist like this, then you're...
Nothing's happening.
Then you're not living at all. So, you know, if you're going through a tough time, that's just life's catapult, you know? It's fucking slinging you back. It's going to propel you into something better.
Yeah, and I think, like, trial and error is the only way to get anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not going to try, then you can just be fine doing nothing.
Yeah.
And I do have women in my life who are in, like, the very traditional masculine, feminine roles, like, woman's at home.
Yeah.
Cooking, cleaning, like, taking care of shit.
Do they seem happier?
You know, she says she really likes that dynamic, and it's hard for me to...
But then society's also probably, like, telling her, don't fucking do that. So it's, like, back to your point about, like, you bringing home certain guys and always balding, like, oh, he's short. Whereas, like, a woman staying home is, like...
That's shit on.
Yeah, like, you're gonna homeschool your kid. You're not gonna, like...
You're gonna go climb the corporate ladder. You're not gonna go build that 6-figure business. Like, what do you mean you're just gonna be at home and cooking and cleaning for a man? Like, maybe that's what makes some people happy. And that's been hard for me to, like, wrap my mind around. And that's back to the kid thing. I'm like, I don't know if I'm cut out for that life. Like, I think I am. I do want to, like, be able to kick my feet up a little bit.
Yeah.
Every person wants that. Like,
of course.
You want to be able to settle into something, and not quite literally using the word settle, but I think settling is okay. Like, it's okay to be able to kick your feet up and be like, yeah, I'm content here. Do
you think not getting that from your dad made you want to embody that role more?
What
like, kind of...
The hypervigilant?
Yeah, of, like, being a protector. Like, because I see that... All right, like, best example. My friend Sav, it drives a nice Mercedes. She just took the bar to become a lawyer. And she was... Every guy she's ever dated, I think, is a fucking geek. Such a dork.
But did she like them?
She thought she did. Because... And one day we were having a conversation, and she was like, why can't I find a guy that's like this or like that or on my level or above me? And I'm like, because you're a high value man. And she looked at me and she was like, and it just clicked. I think I said this to my friend Lexi too. I think I said it to them both. I'm like, you're a high value man. Like, they have nice cars, they got good jobs. And I'm like, how the fuck are you going to meet a guy that's on your level when you're doing the majority of the things that, like, a lot of men aren't even doing these days? And then you end up with these fucking dorks and, like, and these geeks, like, because they're never going to be on your level. Like, the standard is so high. It's a duality. If you become a hypermascular female because you're a go-getter and you're getting shit done and you're in school and you drive a nice car, like, that's, like, if you don't even put a gender on that and you just, like, put that, like, on a piece of paper, you'd be like, oh, wow, that's a guy. And then you're like, no, that's a woman. Or if you don't put a name on it. Yeah. And then it's like, so for you to, it's almost like a duality. You almost have to attract the other side. So you're going to get lazy, man. Because for you to attract this, I fucking hope it happens, obviously, you know. When I was on dating apps, like, that would be like the instant. Oh, okay. That would be the message I would get would be like, oh, business owner, singer in a band. It's mad intimidating. They're like, what can't you do? But it was like, it felt backhanded. It wasn't like, hell yes, I've been looking. Do you want to know why? Yeah, I do. I'll tell you why. And maybe I'll have an answer for all my failed dating attempts. Because men. Is this like caveman? Is this like evolution? No. Men intrinsically want women to experience life through their eyes. Whereas, I said this to her too when we were talking about her little boyfriends and stuff like that. I'm like, if I pull up to pick you up in your house and I drive a BMW, and you get in the car and you're like, I fucking love BMWs. Instantly, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna marry this girl. If you get in and you're like, well, you know, like my last boyfriend, he had a Mercedes. I like Mercedes more. Instantly, for a man, you're like, ho. Instantly, it's every single guy. And then I'm like, have you been to Bali? And you're like, no. I now want to take you there because I want you to. I'm a leader and a provider, so I want you to experienced the life that I can show you. But if you're like, oh yeah, I went last week, immediately like you feel like shit. And now
I can't do anything.
and now
for
you
this
have
girl.
to think of something else that's going to be so extravagant so it becomes difficult for men when
So it's like finding a woman that is high value, aka like has her shit together, has money, like doesn't need need a man. It's challenge
intimidating
for
because
him.
because we feel like we don't have that much to offer you. We can't show you much more of the world. We can't bring money to the table to like sway you to like us.
If you already have everything you need,
we can't peacock properly because shit, you're peacocking too. You know, it's that is how men have been since the dawn of human time. We fucking conquered the 7 seas. We took over kingdoms. We wanted to like explore, have fucking 20 different wives. That's changed obviously,
right.
but
so to find a woman who's like got her shit together, got money, owns a business, doesn't need you, it basically whips out a mirror and it's like, okay, look at yourself in the mirror. What do you bring to the table outside of money and fancy things?
Yep.
What do you bring?
And most men, to be honest with you,
don't have anything else.
Because even if you have money, you could still be a fucking punk.
Right.
Like you could just be some like kid who invested in some bullshit ass fucking JPEG, but you're still a fucking geek, right? So I would say for a lot of men, like my girlfriend, she works in the NICU. She sold a house. Like she has savings, but she's also like cultured too, where she can like dive into that. Whereas if you're with someone as a man, and like if like you were to like have all this and that was your goal, right? I want to keep on building this. I want to keep on doing this. It would be very hard to keep a man when it's like he feels like he's here and you're just kind of like propelling. But if you're that way and you're willing to kind of like embody and be like, no, yeah, like if we have kids, I'll stay at home, I'll do this. It's far more attractive for us because it is like a mirror against our own like ego and bringing shit to the table. So,
well, yeah, I mean, I guess for me personally, I can say that I am moldable and like I am open. I'm very, very, very open and like willing to ride the wave.
Yeah.
With whatever life brings. Obviously, like I have my standard of life that I want to live. Like I'm not like if I'm with a guy and he's like, hey, I want to go, you know, off the grid and live in Costa Rica for 6 months or a year. I'm gonna be like, sorry, I can't follow you there because that's not enough stability for me.
Yeah.
That's not safe enough. I'm a very safe person. So like that wouldn't be.
What if they had like millions and they were set for life? At that point, would you be like, fuck it? Yeah.
Is there a ring on my finger? Are we married? Like, is there security there?
It is. Yeah. So
I know there's no guarantees with anything. You could be married.
I had this conversation too about like prenups because I spend endless nights building businesses, building myself up. And I'm talking to my girlfriend about like marriage and everything. And I'm like, I would never marry someone and not sign a prenup. And she was kind of like, why? And I'm like, why would you deserve half of my shit
that you worked for?
And she was like, well, while you were doing that, I was raising your children. I was cooking all your meals. I was
literally facilitating your ability to do all that.
I was doing everything I possibly could to put you in a better mind frame to do that. And that gave me a whole new perspective on it. Whereas, do I think, and like, is the right answer? I have no idea. But do you deserve half my shit? I don't know if it should be half, but you should be entitled to something, especially if you sacrificed a lot to get
because in that time, she had to take away time from making her own money.
Like, do I think that women should be left with nothing when they sacrifice their bodies and their time and their minds? No. Like, do I think it should be 50? Like, do I think that the most rich women in the world right now are divorcees of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk? That's crazy to me. Like, these people are multi-billionaires. They get a divorce and someone gets half of their money.
Right.
Shit. I don't know, like 25%. Like, there's got to be some fucking thresholds, right? Because that could decimate. I've worked my ass off. And if I have to give you half of what I have, that could decimate my babies. In real time, I could then now be struggling. And now you get a bunch of shit. And now my business is like, it could wonder, nah, I got fucking nothing. So
there's a line.
There has to be a threshold.
There's a line.
I think that
I think prenuptial agreements are really. Yes, I think prenuptial agreements are important.
Yeah.
There just has to be a line, especially based on your financial position. Like, we ain't rich. We work hard for the shit we have. You know, like we're out here. So to like,
yeah.
My boyfriend and I have had this conversation too.
That's good.
We've talked about it, and he doesn't necessarily think that those are like super important. I think he's like a hopeless romantic, you know. I think he's like, that will never happen. But I'm the type of person, I wouldn't even want to take half of somebody's shit.
Yeah.
I would never want to do that to somebody.
Yeah. It's tough. When my parents split, my dad had like a 401k that my mom got.
See, that's
half
crazy
of,
to me. He worked a job for 30, 40 years.
and she took half of it. Now,
and she was just totally like smiling while she was doing it.
now on paper, right? I'm like, yeah, like that's fucked up, right? But to reflect back of like how he treated her all those years, I'm like, you know what? You fucking still owe her. So it's all about perspective, I guess. But yeah, but even she didn't want to. But her lawyer was
Like, you gotta.
you're entitled, you should do this. And obviously they got a cut too, you know. So, but yeah, there's got to be threshold. It's got to be situational. There's been so many times where I thought the world was black and white, and then I'm like, no, it's shades of
so
gray,
not.
and then
It's
I'm
so
like, no,
not.
it is, and then I'm like, but I'm back to everything is a shade of gray. Like, who the fuck knows? Like, you could have the same situation, but it's really not the same.
There's things that are like coming out, like younger generations, and I'm just like, oh, so that's a thing now. Like, there are some shades of
Yeah, right.
pink, purple, and blue.
Oh my, yeah.
That
But-
makes me wonder about your daughter's generation, like what it's gonna be like. Do you ever like worry about that, like with like her school systems or like?
She asked. So I shot a podcast with her, and she had asked me questions like this. So that's going to be like my first release, and it was about like the world that my daughter's going to live in. And I said, I want to believe that I'm going to raise her well enough to be able to think for herself and to be able to avoid bullshit if she needs to. Whereas if the country she's living in is going to shit, I want her to be like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And not be subject to be like, okay, I have to tolerate it because it is what it is. I want to leave her with financial options and also like the mind frame of I'm going to get shit done if I have to get shit done.
Right.
So, but I also, like, there's a lot of delusion going around in this society because, again, half the shit that exists right now wouldn't exist in a prime example. I saw this like show that was talking about like this kid that had such bad OCD that if he walked down his stairs the wrong way,
You gotta go back, do it over.
he would have to go back and do it over again, right? And my thought was the first time I could do that, I'd beat the shit out of him. I'm obviously joking, but
But you'd beat that out of him in some way.
but if you were to go to a different country, you think a kid that's starving is going to be like, oh, I walked to my meal the wrong way. I got to
He's
go
like, no,
back
I'm going to eat
like these things only exist because
because we're spoiled.
we fuel them. Like, oh yeah, no, let him do it. Let him go back up, and then you like
Soft
propel the
parenting.
disease. Yeah, like you embody it and like you make it real. It's like depression. I don't actually think that. How do I put this? I don't think depression as a whole is real. I think being depressed is real.
Yes.
And when you say shit like that, you get a bunch of people that now want to defend depression because it's their identity.
Well, it's gotten them so far.
It's like,
They
and it's
don't
gotten
have to
them
work.
It's gotten them this and it's gotten them that, and it's like, no, I've been depressed, and no, I was just in a state of depression, and I took all the necessary,
It's a state of mind.
and I got the fuck out of it. Now I have depressed times, but I have happy times too. And if you look at emotions like tuning your radio, like happiness is 96.9, depression is 94.2. You tune into these things. You can't always be happy and you can't always be depressed. It's like, what's your baseline?
Right.
And to me, like my baseline, I'm searching for contentment and peace. I don't think that there's an opposite of these things that isn't really emotion. I think like at baseline of existence, it's just peace and contentment. And I think anything else that you feel is what you're choosing to deliberately turn into.
But in our society, we say, oh, I'm feeling this way. And they're like, well, let's take you to the doctor and get some medicine. And then you take the medicine, and then what does the medicine do? You start having side effects. And then that depression turns into, oh, now I'm schizophrenic and I'm hearing voices. And then we need medicine for that. And we need therapy for that. And then next thing you know, you literally can't go to school. The kids can't go to school. They can't go to work. They can't do sports.
Can't do anything.
They have no social life. And then as a result of not having any of those things, community, social life, sports, exercise, friends, then they are losing their ability to socialize. Then now he's autistic. And like, you know what I mean? Like it's just,
it's crazy.
It's a downward spiral when you
crazy.
start medicating a kid.
Yeah.
When you could just be like, Oh, you're not feeling happy today? All right, let's go kick a ball in the yard. Let's go for a walk. Let's get our bikes out. Let's go get ice cream.
But also, I was talking to her about her anxiety, and it's like, why wouldn't you have anxiety? You're existing in a world that is so fucked up. You're enduring a nursing school program that is literally designed to give you anxiety. Everything around us is, how do I put this? Everything around us is honestly so fake and made up. If it's not us being around a community and growing our own vegetables and loving one another,
which isn't realistic anymore.
Like for someone to be like, no, my dream goal in life is to be a massage therapist. It's like someone made that job up.
Right, it's made up.
It's not a real thing, and you're gonna put, or I need to be a doctor. Okay, cool. Like we need people. Well, do we
need them? Do we? Right.
Right. Do we? It's like, I don't know, because everything's like so fucking fucked up right now.
Everything's a domino effect.
But it's like everything in life is derived to make you have anxiety and to make you depressed. So why wouldn't you feel that?
It's right. We live in society.
And then I use it as a tool where if I'm having anxiety or if I'm depressed, it's because my mind is tired of playing this character.
Right. Exactly.
It's like I'm having anxiety about a job I hate.
Right, because you're
trying to am I going to the job?
You're upholding a part of you that is no longer serving you.
Yep.
And that's like back to the relationships. Like, okay, I can't maintain my masculine anymore. Like, I can't do this. This is I have to let go of this identity because it's trying to crawl out of me and leave me, and I'm like holding on to it, and it's creating a turmoil inside of me. And then, working a job that doesn't pay well, but you gotta go because you have bills. And you want to drive the car because everyone else has a car.
Yeah.
And you want money to go out and do the dinners because everyone else is doing it. And you can't not have money because if you don't, then you're a loser and then you'll never get out of your parents' house. It's like,
I was gonna say something earlier and it just came back full circle. And we'll end with this that way.
We could be here all day.
Yeah, no, like I think we need like a part 2 and a part 3. I think you'll be a fan favorite. I actually have a lot of money going into marketing this month. And I'm launching all the brands together, so this will get like a lot of traction. I don't know if it'd be good or bad, but it's gonna get.
We'll get some controversial opinions.
Yeah, like hundreds of thousands of people it's gonna go in front of. But so back to my life coach, who lives on the mountain now, right? We were just having this conversation of where he lives. There's like donkeys and there's like random people and shit like that. And he said that his dog has started to like scratch on his door. And it's completely fucked the door up. And he's like, if I lived in America, I would change that door. But now where I live, it doesn't even like cross my mind. It's like, yo, my dog is just
living.
Fucking scratching my door because I had things in my life that I was talking about. And I'm like, yeah, well, I got to do this and fix this gate or whatever. And he's like, what are you even talking about? Like where I live,
so disconnected.
It's like he's so far off grid, and it's like, and then I get off the call, and I'm like, do I move to the Dominican?
What really matters?
I'm like, and then I'm talking to my girlfriend about it, and she's trying to figure it out too, and it's like, what? How the fuck can we even find the balance? And then I came to the consensus where, okay, I'm gonna be a multimillionaire. I'm gonna have a house where I can tune into everything, and then I'm also going to have a space of land where I can just kind of like remotely go to on an island. And I'm like, that's my balance. I'm like, is that even...
Is that unrealistic?
But I'm like, no.
Is it?
Because if I apply myself and I do it, but then it's like, I'm now attached to that outcome. And if it doesn't work, then...
Then what? Do you suck?
Yeah, then I'm fucked. So
shit?
It's like so hard to find the balance, and then you eventually just want to say fuck neutrality and like choose a side. It's like politics. It's like, okay, that what they said was cool. That's not cool. Okay, yeah, I understand that. I understand that. And it's like, then like, oh yeah, she lied, he lied. Who the fuck? It's like,
almost harder to be neutral.
You can't do anything. And then it gets to the point where someone just says something that like makes sense. You're like, I gotta pick a side. I gotta do something.
I gotta go somewhere
because I can't vote for both.
Right.
So I'm gonna
do limbo.
I'm gonna do my best to have both of those, but it might like this is just too much. Like, why am I in the city? Why am I waiting in traffic? Why am I doing this? Versus, man, there's fucking things in this country that could just fucking kill me at any point in time. Like this fucking wild fucking. So it's It's tough. It's not easy.
You gotta pick your hard.
Yeah.
Pick your hard.
Pick your poison.
Kombucha.
And just hope it doesn't kill you, right? I say that about, like, when I talk to my female friends about choosing men. I'm like, all it is picking poison, and you just pray to God it doesn't kill you.
It takes small doses.
yeah, literally. Well, fuck, that was a good shoot.
It was.
Yeah,
We covered a lot of topics.
yeah, seriously. I could keep talking and talking and talking, but I never wanted to be information overload for someone too. I was going to this church once, and I really will end with this. And the fucking pastor would say some shit that would change your life. And you're like, yup, I'm gonna leave here to change. But then he would keep talking.
And you're like, wait, what about the last
What
thing?
the fuck? And then it would get to a point where I'm like then he said 10 things that would all change my life. But now I feel like a raw nerve. I'm over fucking stimulated.
Right.
And I'm like, now I forgot everything.
Raw nerve.
So you have to know when to finish, you know? So I feel like, yeah.
That could have been made like a sexual comparison.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just can't, you know? So
Not happening tonight.
yeah, you just keep going. or you come back for part 2 and part 3.
Like, take a break.
Yeah, I would love to have you on more. Yeah, this was great. I've had quite a bit of people on, and I've definitely said things to you that I probably wouldn't say to other people.
Well, there's a level of
So it's good to express, but I mean,
no boundaries here.
but still, it's like, should there be? This is going out to the fucking public, so it's
I
like,
mean, I think we gotta break through walls.
yeah,
We don't need.
yeah, it's
to
like an
sugar-
onion, donkey.
There's layers.
Yeah, it's layers,
Like a
donkey.
layer cake.
Well, cheers.
Your
Yeah,
kombucha's gone.
and I'm gonna get a little drop. I'm gonna get the drop. It's all time on that show. Well, thank you so much.
She cannot stand